February is the worst. It always is, unless you live in a place without winter. But this February is particularly bad. I was sitting on my balcony smoking and drinking coffee, as is my habit. I gave up when money was tight, but I've picked it back up now that things are looking up. I don't smoke around my children to avoid influencing them or exposing them to secondhand smoke. This weekend, they are with their grandparents, so I have some free time to think. This February has been especially bad, with 2 weeks of no sunshine, constant gray skies, 20-degree temperatures, and several inches of snowfall. Everyone hoped Valentine's Day would bring some relief. It fell on a Thursday, and many people took Friday off, effectively shutting down the city. My wife Linda and I had plans, but we awoke to more snow, and by the afternoon we were both sent home from work. Because the city was closed, our plans for a night out were replaced by frozen pizza and frozen time with the kids. Our only dance was with Emma and Timmy, who were 6 and 4 years old and excited about not having to go to school. The next day, after the kids were asleep, I apologized to Linda and offered her a glass of wine. She reassured me that it wasn't my fault and expressed her appreciation for the upcoming evening. She had a new evening gown that I hadn't seen yet, as she keeps it a surprise until we go out. Linda sews her own clothes, and many of Emma's outfits look fantastic. I admired the diamond ring I gave her 10 years ago, which sparkled in the firelight. Linda, I appreciate you saying yes. I love you, I replied. I love you too, she responded. We toasted ourselves and sat quietly for a while. I then apologized for my recent grumpiness and blamed it on February. Linda understood. She admitted to being irritable too. We joked about hibernating until spring, noting that the kids were also on edge. Despite everything, Linda reminded me of the blessings we had in each other. Our children are home, and they know where our next meal will come from. We laughed about our first date at Wendy's, a running joke from our college days when I had little money, but Linda wasn't bothered. How do people cope in times like this without love? I asked. Sometimes they don't, she said, remembering her high school boyfriend's tragic death on Valentine's Day years ago. I am determined to stay positive. I took her hand and wished her a happy Valentine's Day before moving our celebration to the bedroom. I predicted 8 inches of snow, but it turned into 2 feet, giving us an unexpected 3-day weekend. Everything was closed, but most people had power and snowmobiles to get around. Our kids enjoyed having us home, playing in the snow, eating pizza, and watching movies instead of going to school. Linda and I also enjoyed the break, which included no need to travel and plenty of food to share with neighbors. Emma and Timmy went to bed with no fuss, exhausted from having fun giving Linda and me some private time. However, the children only wanted to watch Frozen repeatedly. Linda also refused to show me her new dress, implying that I needed to take her out to see it. The Plows arrived on Sunday evening, and we got ready for work and school before going to bed. Emma and Timmy thanked us for the best weekend ever and hugged us warmly. Linda and I were touched and felt deeply connected. Reality returned, and the weekend faded into memory. Linda received a call from her friend Dee after she had put her children to bed one night. Linda enthusiastically relayed Dee's suggestion to end the dreadful February with a night out. We hire a babysitter, have dinner, dance, and stay in a hotel. I was concerned about logistics, but Linda assured me that everything was perfectly planned. We eat at the Madison downtown and then go to a nearby club. There was no need to drive, and our friends had already arranged for babysitting. I feigned hesitation, knowing Linda would persuade me. She playfully hit me with a cushion until I agreed to one condition. She had to wear the dress she had purchased for Valentine's Day. Linda smiled in agreement. As you wish, Lord. Your wish is my command. Linda's blue dress accentuated her glowing blue eyes. It had long sleeves, a high neck, and a skirt below her knees, but it was far from outdated. The flared skirt drew attention as she walked and danced, making the smooth fabric even more appealing. Linda descended the stairs slowly, surprising me. She gently placed a finger on my chin and said, "It's still me, Jim. You don't have to flatter me, however. I love it. You don't realize how great you look." I managed by kissing her hands. Her eyes glistened, and she smiled, tremulously. We gathered with our friends at a crowded restaurant to enjoy each other's company and celebrate the end of February. Linda was stunning, and I told her so, repeatedly touching her whenever I could. The night was unforgettable. After dinner, we went to the club. Neither of us drank much, so I was relieved I didn't have to drive. Linda smiled seductively, implying she didn't want to stay long. "We won't be at the club long, will we?" she whispered. "It's up to you, baby," I said, grinning. She clung to my arm. The club was packed, but we had made reservations. Everyone noticed our group, particularly Linda. I whispered, "You are getting a lot of attention. You are the most attractive woman here." "Oh, you. Flattery will get you anywhere," she teased. We danced to have fun with each other rather than to impress. Dave asked Linda to dance, but she declined because she wanted the night to be special for us. "Proud and happy," I whispered. "Is it time to leave yet?" "Not yet. We need energy for what we have planned." She replied by taking my hand. During a break, we heard loud laughter and noticed Marc Lavalier, the Sharks' quarterback. Our table was abuzz with excitement over him, but Linda and I were only interested in each other, we joked. "Book a room, you two." Linda and I exchanged looks. We hadn't kissed much, just shared a few bites of wings, but we already had a room reserved for the night. The band resumed playing, sparing us further awkwardness. "Will we dance here or upstairs?" I whispered to Linda. Jane cut her off before she could finish speaking. "Look, he's coming this way." Sure enough, Lavalier approached our table. The women primped and flaunted, chanting, "Pick me, pick me!" Linda, on the other hand, lowered her gaze and squeezed my hand even more tightly. "Hello, I'm Mark. Would you like to dance?" he asked Linda, extending his hand. She sighed, dropped my hand, and gracefully accepted his without looking at me. She stood and started dancing with him. Dave teased me. "I thought she was just dancing with you tonight." "Yeah, me too," I muttered. "Relax, Jim. It's only a dance." Jane reassured me, but I felt uneasy. Everyone watched as they danced. Mark outperformed me, and Linda clearly had a good time. Dee attempted to distract me, but I declined. The following song was slow, and I saw Linda melt into Mark's arms. He whispered something to her, and she smiled. They danced appropriately, but it hurt to see another slow song playing. I noticed the band leader watching them. Mark appeared pleased, which made me even more determined to finish it. I attempted to rise, but Jane stopped me. "Give her this. Do not spoil your mood." I reluctantly sat back down, heartbroken. The song ended, and Mark led Linda off the dance floor. They smiled at each other but did not touch. As Linda approached our table, her best smile faded to her second best. When our eyes met, I realized we had an issue. "I keep telling you that you're the most attractive woman here," I whispered as I took her hand. "Perhaps it is time to go to our room for the next dance." Linda's eyes widened with fear and her hand trembled. She quickly looked away. "Sorry, everybody, I need to go to the restroom, Linda. Will you join me?" I asked aloud. Linda looked at me apologetically. "I'm sorry, Jim. I could use a refresher too, so I left with Dee." The conversation shifted to why women never used the restroom alone. As I pondered this, Dee returned alone. "Where is Linda? Is she okay?" I asked, almost yelling. "Relax, Jim." Dee smiled. "Linda is fine. She just has a few things to do. You do not need to worry about her. She is a grown woman." I was still concerned, but I could handle it for about 5 minutes. When Linda failed to return, I had had enough. I went to the bar using an empty plate as an excuse and approached a female bartender. "My wife went to the bathroom 15 minutes ago and has yet to come out. Could you check on her? She enjoys spicy foods but occasionally has a reaction. Her name is Linda." "Here's a picture," I said, displaying my phone. The bartender was about to assist when Dee appeared. "She's fine. You don't need to check," Dee explained, placing a $5 bill on the counter. The bartender looked sympathetically at me. "What? Why did she come with you?" I inquired, perplexing Jim. "She's not in the bathroom. She left the club," Dee said. I felt as if I had been punched in the stomach. "Why? Where has she gone? Is she okay?" I inquired, still unsure. "Let's speak privately," Dee said, dragging me into a dark corner of the bar. She looked me in the eye. "Jim, Linda adores you and the children more than anything. But tonight she's with Mark," she said. I felt my world crumble. Linda's blue dress from dinner at the club flashed through my mind. "So, on our special night, she dumps me for a jock." I let out a growl. "Jim, she has not abandoned you. She will return home tomorrow, and you will have many more special nights." Dee claimed she didn't tell me directly. She slithered out like a snake. "And you helped her?" I said, "Listen, Jim, she did not abandon you." Dee insisted. If she has not abandoned me, where is she? She isn't with me now. I spoke, my voice rising. Please calm down. Linda knows you are the only man for her. You're a good guy, Dee said condescendingly. Yeah, we all know where the good guys end up. I spoke through clenched teeth. It's only tonight. She said that everything would be the same tomorrow. I snorted. What was your involvement in this? You didn't have to go to the bathroom. Linda gave you the signal to stall me. I accused Dee, and she nodded. Yes, she did not want you to cause a scene. She loves you and will always return home to you, she stated. Tonight, I will remember how much she loves me. I assumed she didn't want to be embarrassed about leaving her husband for a jock. I said, didn't you remind her that she has a husband and marriage to lose? No, because I am confident she will not lose. You're too good a man. She'll do whatever it takes to make things right with you, Dee said. What if there is no way of making amends? I asked Jim. I know how much you love each other. In comparison to your entire relationship, this is only one night. It's not a big deal until you make it so. You'll be fine, Dee said softly but firmly. I resisted the urge to grab Dee and shake her because she was talking nonsense. So, if Mark had picked you, would you have done the same? I asked. I would, she declared defiantly. Does Dave know? I asked. No, and you don't have to tell him. She said softly, it probably will not happen. Perhaps I should, I said. Please don't, Jim. This will not help. Come back to the table and let's get distracted for a while, she replied, smiling. I wanted to dance with my wife, but thanks to you and Mark, that's not possible, I said, returning to our table. The conversation ended abruptly. Everyone knew my wife was with Mark. Jim, are you all right? Asked Dave. I wanted to tell him what Dee had said, but I couldn't bring myself to. It depends on what you mean by okay, I replied coldly. It was a bad thing to do. But you're not going to divorce Linda over it, right? Asked Dave. Why not? I responded. There was a collective sigh. Jim, that's Mark's level. Yes, Dee said. I do not care who it is. If it isn't me, then it's cheating, I said angrily. What if Dee spends the night with Mark? Would you be okay with that? Dave blushed and turned to Dee, who was avoiding his gaze. Jim, think of your children. They need you, Jane said. Is my wife thinking about them now? I asked. This is why you hired a nanny. Dee tried to joke but failed. It's only one night. She will not get this chance again. You wouldn't divorce her in one night, Dee said. Why not? I stared at her. Silence followed. Jim, consider a different viewpoint, Jane suggested. What if a Sports Illustrated model asked to spend the night with you? Won't you be tempted? I might be tempted, but I would decline. I have a wife and do not want to hurt her, I replied firmly. Silence fell again. I looked at my former friends who supported my cheating wife. A bouncer approached the table. Is there an issue? Yes, a large one, I said, tossing a $20 bill onto the table. I am leaving. That will cover my bill. You can cover for the strumpet I brought. I said this as I walked out of the club and towards the hotel. My rage turned to deep sadness. Linda and I were supposed to walk together, but now I'm alone. Alone. I took the elevator, entered our suite, and faced the aftermath of our special night alone. I faced an uncertain future. I turned on the light, closed the door, and felt strangely tired. I threw my coat on the floor and went into the bedroom. Each pillow had a Godiva candy bar, and there was an unfamiliar pair of underwear in the middle of the bed. I imagined Linda putting them on with the love and sensuality that used to be reserved for me. Until tonight. Another man took away my wife, lover, and best friend. He grabbed her effortlessly as if he had every right to her. She was simply a beautiful plaything for the night, and she let him have it. I meant so little to her that she made no objections. It appeared that she thought he had more right to her than I did. After almost a decade of being a loyal husband, it was supposed to be only one night. But what will he leave in her heart and mind? How do I compare it to Mark, the town hero? Lovelier. I stopped crying, washed my face, and collected our belongings. I threw the underwear away. I checked us out of the hotel, and the desk clerk looked puzzled. Is everything all right in your room, sir? She asked. The room was stunning. I said, Is there anything we can do to make your stay more comfortable? She replied, Make him disappear and turn back time. I thought, but I replied, No thanks. Have a good evening, sir, she said. Yes, right, I muttered to myself as I got into my car and drove home. Emotions swirled within me. Anger and sadness battled for control. The house seemed quiet and empty. I was hoping for a message from Linda, but there was none. I lay down, still wearing my clothes, and fell asleep. Around 2 a.m., my phone vibrated with texts from an unknown number. It was pictures and videos of Linda and Mark having fun. He must have used her phone to send them to me. I slammed the phone shut. Anger surges. Divorce was unavoidable, but Mark would pay. I saved the images and videos to my computer and emailed them to our friends with the subject line, "Happy now?" I then put all of Linda's belongings in trash bags, stuffed them into her car, and changed the garage code. I destroyed anything that reminded me of our marriage, making the house into a war zone. I flushed my wedding ring down the toilet along with my urine and feces, mentally exhausted. When the morning paper arrived at my door, I sat down for coffee. The headlines shocked me. Who is Mark Level? His new girlfriend has photos of Linda and Mark kissing as they leave the club and climb into his Jaguar. My humiliation was now public. I shared the article link with our friends who were interested in the subject. Screw you all to hell. Seeing as it was 5:30 a.m., I called Linda's mother knowing she'd be preparing breakfast. "Hi," she said. "Is everything okay?" "No, Mom," I responded. We got along well, and I always called Mom and Dad. "What is wrong? Is it the children?" she asked. "No, have you seen this morning's newspaper?" "Not yet," she said. Alfred reads it over coffee. "Why? He may want to avoid the sports section. There's an article about Mark Laval. He might not like it. Alfred thinks highly of him." Linda's mother spoke. "Perhaps not after this. Linda left me at the club with him last night, and they were seen entering his car." "Oh my God," she exclaimed. "Where is Linda now?" "I'm still with him," I said. "She spent the night with him." She asked, "Yes, I'm not sure when or if she will return, but I cannot keep her here. She'll need a place to stay. All right. Alfred won't be pleased, and neither am I. Is there a way to fix this?" "No, Mom. She turned her back on me and left with him. Our so-called friends covered for her. I'm very sorry, Jim. Of course, she can stay here if necessary. How about the children? They're spending the night with the babysitter. I might ask my in-laws to watch them for the remainder of the weekend." "Okay. Please let me know if I can help." "Jim?" "Thank you, Mom." I got another idea and returned to the computer. I went to Linda's Facebook page and shared the link to the article with a caption. Guess what? I made it onto the front page of the sports section. I went on a date with my lame husband. Then I spent the night with an actual stud. Lucky me. I also emailed the reporter who wrote the article, explaining what happened and attaching a video of Mark telling Linda he was going to entertain her again. I provided my contact information and sent the email at 8 a.m. I called Mrs. Porter and asked if my parents could pick up the kids. She agreed and inquired, "Have you seen the sports section?" "Yes," I said. "Was that Linda?" she asked. "Unfortunately, I have confirmed. Please don't tell the kids yet. I understand. I am sorry, Jim. You do not deserve this." She sympathized. "Thank you." I ended the call. Next, I called my mother. "Jim, is everything all right?" she asked. Her voice conveyed concern. "Your father has just read the paper." "Yes, Mom." "Could you get the kids from Mrs. Porter's house this morning? They should stay with you over the weekend," I requested. "Of course, son. What are you planning to do?" she inquired. "Unleash hell, Mom," I declared. "Think about the kids first, okay?" She gently reminded me that they were the most important thing in my life right now. "I know, Mom. Thank you for reminding me," I acknowledged. We finished talking, and I grabbed a cup of coffee. My cell phone rang at 9:30 a.m. It was Dee. "What?" I raised my voice. "Jim, it's Dee. I saw this morning's newspaper and wanted to apologize. I had no idea things would be this bad," she admitted. "What did you anticipate would happen? My wife left with a top soccer player. Of course, somebody would notice." "It's worse than you think," I replied. "What do you mean?" she asked. "Check Linda's Facebook page via your email. I was the director. I have not yet. I prefer my morning coffee first," she said. "The answers are there." "I hope you are happy," I replied curtly. I disconnected the call before she could respond. Then Jane called, upset over the video and photos. "Why are you surprised?" I asked. "I never imagined he'd do something like this." She confessed. "Please entertain my wife or send her pictures and videos." I pressed both. "What are you planning to do?" she questioned. "What are your thoughts?" Say goodbye and bugger off, I demanded. I hung up and attempted to finish my coffee, but the phone rang again. I didn't recognize the number, but I responded anyway. Mr. Thomas Carlyle, a woman's voice inquired. That's him, I explained. Hello, Mr. Carlyle. This is Audrey Tanis from the Daily Record. I got an email and a video from you. Is your wife the same one seen with Mark Lavalier last night? She asked. Yes, that's her and the idiot. I said, Who? She asked. Sorry. This is what I call him. I said, I see. And you claim the woman he is with is your wife? She asked, my soon-to-be ex-wife. I said, So you are getting divorced over this? She asked. Absolutely, I replied. You mentioned additional videos and photos in your letter. She asked. Yes, would you want to see them? I asked. Can we meet to discuss this? Sure, but I'd rather wait until she gets home first. Is she not back yet? Audrey asked. No, she's not. I said, Okay. She said, Give me a call when you're available to meet and we can discuss things. Sure, I said, concluding the conversation. Curious, I looked at Linda's Facebook page. The comments were divided into two categories, supportive and critical. Some called her promiscuous and promised to kick her out if their wives did the same. I noticed she'd lost a few Facebook friends and laughed when Linda walked in around 11 o'clock. I noticed a Jaguar pulling away from the house. Jim? It's me, she said, as she removed the key from the lock. I am home, she announced casually. Why is my car parked in the driveway instead of the garage? And what are those things inside? Her eyes widened when she noticed me at the table. I knew I looked awful. Her face turned white as she surveyed the wrecked house. Oh my God, she exclaimed. What did you do? Everything is destroyed. Our wedding portrait, my vase, and our glasses. And what does it smell like? I have finished what you started last night. I said, Have you slept at all? She asked. Why do you care? I asked, Look, I'm very sorry about last night, but I'm here now and I'm still your wife. I shake my head. She attempted to kiss my cheek, but I stopped her. Do not touch me, I said. She appeared startled. And no, you are not my wife, not anymore. That is what it says in the newspaper and online. Thank you, idiot. I showed her the spread with all of the photographs. Oh no, she exclaimed, shocked. How did they get those photographs? I am not his girlfriend. Whatever the papers say doesn't matter. You had fun, and now we're done. I need to use the restroom. Then we should talk, she suggested. I followed her to the bathroom and watched her recoil from the mess on the toilet. Is this your wedding ring? She asked. Yes, since you ruined our marriage, I made it official. I took her left hand and examined her rings. What are you doing now? She asked. What is that? I inquired, pointing to the dried stain on her ring. I don't know, she replied. Nonsense, I said, pulling up a video from my phone of Mark smearing it on her rings. Her face turned pale. You not only humiliated me in public and in front of the entire town, but you also ruined our wedding rings, I said, becoming angrier. I removed the rings from her finger. What are you doing now? She screamed as I threw the rings in the toilet and flushed. She screamed, her eyes widening. My rings! How could you? You must give them back. No, how could you? For more than a decade, I have only loved you, and this is my gratitude. Screw you. But it was just one night, she explained. We have the remainder of our lives ahead of us. I showed her a video of Mark saying he would continue to entertain. Was he saying the truth? Do you want to do this in our bed with me watching? It may have come up, but I did not believe he was serious. She claimed it was just pillow talk like this. I asked while showing her the video. She shakes her head. That's not what I intended, she said. Well, I am serious. I said, get out and inform your lover that if he enters this house, I will liquidate him. Now leave before I throw you out. But I also live here, she said. Not anymore. I'm getting divorced. Your belongings are in the car and your mother is waiting for you. You are dead to me. I do not want to see your face again. Now get out. How about the children? She exclaimed. How about them? You didn't think about them or me when you left with him? That is not true. And don't call him that, she said. Screw you. Oh, wait, he already has. He knew you were married but didn't care. Now you are defending him. Get out of my sight. You make me sick. She jerked back, tears falling down her cheeks. Get out! She ran down the stairs, wailing. I followed, grabbed her purse, and tossed her house key to her. Do not do this. she begged. I love you. I absolutely despise you. Now get out, I exclaimed, shivering and crying. She walked out and drove away, wiping the tears from her face. Exhausted, I collapsed onto the couch and fell asleep. After waking up in the afternoon, I showered and called Audrey. Audrey, this is Jim Carlisle. Good afternoon, Mr. Carlisle, she said. Is it too late to meet in the afternoon? Not at all, she replied. Where would you prefer to meet? How about Sherry's? Near the mall. It is quiet. That sounds good. See you there, she said. I called my mother to check on the kids. They were watching Frozen but took a break to talk. Where's Mom? Asked Emma. She's currently staying with her mother. I said, why doesn't she stay at home with you? She asked. We're working through some issues. You will see her soon. I have to meet someone, but I will call you later, okay? Okay, Daddy, she replied. Bye. My heart was broken. Linda and Mark had ruined both my marriage and my children's lives. I left for Sherry's and was led to a table in the corner. A young brunette holding a laptop greeted me. She said, Mr. Carlisle, nice to meet you. Call me Jim, I said. Thank you, Jim. I'm Audrey. I'd like to apologize for what I asked. Those are my pictures in the morning paper, she explained. Have you taken them? I asked, and the answer was yes. I was at the club with my friends and noticed Mark's level. I saw him dancing with your wife and followed them outside. I didn't realize she was married. I have more footage. Would you want to see it? Why not? I said. She handed me the tablet and switched on the video. Linda and Mark were holding hands in the parking lot, just as Linda and I used to do. They kissed in front of his car, looking like a couple. When the video ended, I returned the tablet. I'm truly sorry for what happened, she said. I sent some messages to the newspaper before returning to the club, but you were gone. Do you want to tell me your side? I nodded and described the evening. Then I gave her my phone and headphones. You should watch this video, I said. I'm a big girl, she said, putting on her headphones while I ate. I noticed her expression change as she watched the video. When she finished, she returned the phone. So I asked. It confirms certain rumors. I have heard he is a player, but that is difficult to prove, she said. What are you planning to do? I'm getting divorced. She was aware of my views on fidelity, but did not care. It's over. Are there any kids? She asked. 2, a boy and a girl, 6 and 4. I said. She explained that it is always the most difficult for the children. Yes, it is, I responded. What about Mark? She asked. I do not know yet. Part of me wants to strike him, but I don't want to go to jail. He's a top soccer player. No offense, but I doubt you'd get far, she said. I chuckled. Previously, people underestimated me. Size is not everything. What does this mean? She asked. My father used to say that the size of the fight in the dog is more important than the size of the dog itself. I said, So you want to cause trouble? She asked. No. I have 2 children to think about, but I am not going to give up. I said, Have you spoken with a lawyer? She asked. I haven't had time. This all occurred last night. I said. She gave me a card. A friend of mine is a family law attorney. She despises crooks and is not fond of La Valliere. I will call her if you want. I looked at the card. Lisa Hawkins is an attorney at law. Sure, thanks. But why are you so helpful to me? That's a fair question. I smell a good story and would like to tell it to you. Also, I enjoy seeing guys like La Valliere get what they deserve, so it is personal. I inquired briefly and she admitted. What do you want from me? I asked. An exclusive? Something like that. It means you allow me to tell your story and control the flow of information, she explained. Why? I asked. Yes, Lisa and I. So what do I get? A defense against individuals like myself. The Lavalas team will spin it to make you look bad. You need someone who knows how to deal with sharks, she explained. What do we do? I asked. Have you considered making a case against La Valliere? She asked. Yes, I had, I said. Let me see what they're doing. I'd like to include a note in tomorrow's paper indicating that you're considering legal action. Is this okay? I contemplated her question. I knew she was correct. Linda's identity would soon become public, so it was best to be prepared. Okay, I replied, but we'll work on it together. I'll also have veto power if it threatens the children's safety. Agreed, she said. I'll make a few calls and get started. By the way, the local news will be covering this tonight. They've already contacted me. What have you told them? I asked. I have not said anything yet. I wanted to talk to you first, thanks. I said. We finished our meal and said goodbye. I hoped I was doing the correct thing. I decided to go to my parents' house to discuss everything. I checked my phone and saw no calls or messages from Linda. When I arrived, my children ran up to me and I hugged them tight. "Where's Mom?" Emma asked. "She's with her parents." I said. "Why?" Emma asked. "She needs to take care of some things," I replied, not wanting to reveal too much. My parents joined us and we sat down. "Are you all right, son?" my father asked. "Not really, Dad," I replied. "I am better than I was, but it is still difficult." "I understand," he replied. Despite the kids' objections, we watched the news on television. "And now for our Talk of the Town segment," the anchor announced. The Daily Record reported this morning that star soccer player Mark Lively, ER, was seen leaving a nightclub with a new girlfriend. A video shows them leaving the club and entering his car. Linda and Mark were clearly holding hands and kissing. "Daddy." "Why is Mommy kissing the man?" asked Emma. "Is this her boyfriend? I told Emma to just watch the news." Timmy didn't completely understand, but he was clearly upset. The anchor proceeded. We talked to Audrey Tanis, the reporter who broke the story. She stated that the woman is married, but her husband has not authorized the release of her name. We reached out to Lavaliere and Sharks Management, but received no response. More information may be available as early as tomorrow. Dad turned off the television and Mom took the kids to another room. Dad turned to face me. "What are you planning to do, son?" he asked. I said, "I'm getting a divorce, Dad." He nodded. "I do not blame you. You know it probably means she gets the kids while you lose everything financially. Maybe, but I cannot live with her after this. By the way, I spoke with the reporter who broke the story." "Yeah," he asked. "Yes, she offered to help me. The next few days will be tough. This is only the beginning." Mom returned and told the kids they could stay here as long as they needed. That way they will not be bothered by journalists. Dad said, "Your mom is correct. They can stay here for as long as they need to. Thanks. I'll get some more of their stuff tomorrow. Let me know if you require anything. Linda will want to see them." Mom said we couldn't stop her without a restraining order. I know it is also messed up. Why did she do this? She must have known it would not go well. It's difficult to say. My father said, "Do what you have to do. We'll help you in any way we can. Don't do anything stupid." "Thank you, Dad," I replied. We hugged and I went to see the kids. Emma approached me with tears in her eyes. "Are you getting a divorce?" she asked. I could not lie to her. "I suppose so, honey. But keep in mind that we all care deeply about you." I hugged her while she cried on my shoulder. "Damn you, Linda. I thought after spending time with the kids I needed to leave. I need to clean my house." Mom handed me a dish of lasagna. "Take it with you. Keep your strength up." "Thank you, Mom," I said. Her lasagna was the absolute best. We said our goodbyes and I went home. When I arrived, I placed the lasagna in the refrigerator and checked Linda's Facebook page. The post was still up and had been viewed by over 500,000 people, most of whom left negative comments. She'd lost almost 3/4 of her friends. I smiled and turned off the computer. I had just finished cleaning up and was about to reheat the lasagna when the doorbell rang. Crap, I thought. I looked through the crowd. It was Dee and Dave. What the hell did they want? I opened the door slightly. "What the hell do you want?" I let out a growl. They both jumped. "Can we speak?" Jim asked. "Why?" I asked. "Because we are friends and we are concerned about you," she said. I snorted. "Friends with people like you, who needs enemies? Please, Jim, could we come in and talk for a minute?" Dee pleaded. I thought for a moment before letting them in. They looked around, shocked by the destruction and missing items. "So what do you want?" I inquired, pouring myself coffee without offering them any. "Jim, we would like to apologize for last night. They said we watched the video and read the report. We didn't realize it would be this bad." "And we apologize. You did not know?" I asked mockingly. "But you knew she was married when you pushed her into his bed, right?" "Yes, we did." Dee admitted that Linda was also married. "None of you cared. You simply wanted her with him. I said they appeared ashamed. All this talk about one and done means nothing, does it?" I asked. "Linda is very upset right now. She's been crying on her mother's bed, and we're concerned she's having a breakdown," Dee explained. I threw a thick dictionary on the coffee table, making them jump. "Do you want sympathy? Look between crap and syphilis to find it." My God, this has completely destroyed you, said Dave. You do not understand. I'm about to tip my hat, I said, keeping my fingers half an inch apart. If I had a weapon, I might have done it sooner. Someone needs to think about the children, unlike you and Linda, last night. So you showed her your rings and told her she was dead to you? Dee asked. I nodded. She ruined our marriage and I completed what she started. I asked, what will you do now? Asked Dave. There is no choice. I need to divorce her. This article went viral. Everyone recognizes her. I need to divorce her. Nasty back, I said, and you'll be naming too. I added to Dee. Me? Why are you helping to destroy our family? That is being an accessory. I pointed out that you could have stopped her, but you didn't. Have you told your husband what you told me yet? They looked at her. What have you said to him? He asked. She looked down and flushed. He turned to face me. What exactly did she say? She stated that if Marquette had approached her instead of Linda, she would have responded similarly. I said angrily. He turned to face her. Is this so? We'll talk about it at home, he said. I asked that you not tell him. Dee spoke to me angrily. Your husband deserves to know the type of woman he's married to. So is that all? I asked. She asked. Yes, I said. They stood up to leave, but Dee made one final attempt on Linda. I understand if you don't want to be friends, but can't you forgive Linda at least once? She really adores you, she said. Are you that naive, Dee? No, I cannot forgive her, and I never will. She destroyed me and you helped. I can never look at you the same way again. She nodded sadly. Okay, I'm sorry, but I said nothing. Dave extended his hand and pulled it back. I'm sorry too. We all apologize. I suppose I'll see you later. I hummed in response, unwilling to say anything. I watched as they left. Dee wipes away her tears. I locked the door and went into the kitchen for dinner. Then he lay down on the bed and fell asleep. The following day, I got up. I followed my morning routine and grabbed a newspaper from the porch. After cereal and toast, I opened the newspaper to the sports section. Cheating has led to the consideration of a lawsuit against Sharks tight end Mark Lavalier. Read the headline. This should be good. Audrey did an excellent job of retelling what I told her while remaining anonymous. The man who identified himself as the woman's husband shared a video of his wife's relationship with Lavalier. According to the article, he claims that her friends helped her escape with a Lavalier. Attempts to contact them were unsuccessful. The Lavalier contract includes a strict morals clause which can lead to litigation. Team management and Lavalier have not responded. I closed the newspaper and sipped my coffee, satisfied. My phone vibrated with a message from Audrey. I hope you read the newspaper this morning. I replied, great article. Thanks, she wrote back. Expect a call soon. A few seconds later, my phone vibrated with an unfamiliar number. I responded, curious. Jim Carlisle. Hello, Mr. Carlisle. My name is Lisa Hawkins. Audrey Tanis gave me your number. I hope I did not catch you at a bad time. She introduced herself. There are no better times these days, but I am glad you called Lisa. What can I do for you? I replied. More of what I can do for you. She made a correction. Please call me Lisa. Okay, Lisa. Call me Jim. I responded. Thank you, Jim. Audrey told me about you, so I wanted to contact you after you read her article. I assume you have read it? She inquired. Yes, she did a good job, I confirmed. I agree. Jim, I'd like to represent you if that's okay. Are you considering suing Lavalier and the team in addition to divorcing your wife? She asked. Yes, I am, I confirmed. You are in luck. Infidelity is grounds for divorce in this jurisdiction, and suits for alienation of affection are permitted. You've got a strong case. Do you have children? She inquired. Yes, a boy and a girl, I responded. Will you seek custody? She proceeded. Absolutely, I stated firmly. It might be complicated, but we can request it. I'd like to start your case today. Can we meet at my office tomorrow at 8 o'clock? She proposed. Yes, I can. What about the fees? I inquired. Usually there is a fee, but I am willing to do it pro bono, she offered. Thank you. But why? I inquired, surprised. I will tell you someday. Just not now, she said mysteriously. Okay, I agree. One final thing, Jim. Following this morning's article, you're likely to hear from the Sharks legal team. Do not give in. Tell them they can expect a call from your lawyer, she suggested. Of course, I reassured her. All right. And don't do anything stupid, she warned. I will not, I promise. I told her we'd said our goodbyes. I decided to go see the kids, changed into clean jeans and a shirt, and then heard a bang on the door. Through the crowd, I noticed two well-dressed men, probably from the Sharks, I assumed. Remembering Lisa's warning, I opened the door. "Yes, what can I do for you?" I asked calmly. "Mr. Carlyle, my name is Roger Billings, and this is Jack Dunstan. We are from the Sharks. Can we come inside and talk?" I recognized Dunstan, the team's owner. Roger was probably a lawyer. I invited them inside. "Please come inside. May I offer you a drink?" "No, thanks," Jack said. "We're here to talk about your problem with Mark Lavalier." "Graduation?" I asked. "Do you mean he ruined my marriage and family?" "Yes," Jack expressed his confusion. He turned to Roger. "Show him the proposal." Roger gave me an envelope in a folder. I was shocked when I opened the envelope. "Is everything okay, Mr. Carlyle?" As Jack, "You've got to be kidding me," I replied. "Is there an issue, Mr. Carlyle?" asked Roger. $1,000. "You are offering me $1,000 for what he has done to my family. That is an insult." "Wait, Mr. Carlyle," Jack said. "It includes lifetime season passes as well as expensive items from our gift store." I nearly laughed. "In exchange for what?" I asked. Roger opened the folder, revealing an unsigned document. "Please do not file a lawsuit against the team or Mr. Lavalier," he said. I looked at the document incredulously. "And you will not do anything to Lavalier. How about the morals clause in his contract?" I asked. Roger shrugged. "Listen, Mr. Carlyle," Jack said. "Boys will be boys. Mr. Lavalier is a respected team member with a strong reputation in the community. We just ask that you reconsider prosecuting. We do not want anyone's reputation tarnished. Surely you can understand that. Lavalier destroyed my marriage and reputation." I said, "There are already articles and photos of him and my wife. What about my two children? How will you compensate for their lost family? Do you think season tickets and flashy clothes will compensate for that? What do you want us to do?" condescendingly asked Jack. "Oh, I do not know. Maybe I should entertain my wife or turn back time to Thursday and prevent him from meeting her," I replied wryly. "Better yet, kick some balls around the soccer pitch live on air. I would pay to see that." Both men appeared shocked. "We can't do any of that, Mr. Carlyle," Roger explained. "Perhaps you'd like to make a counteroffer. You will listen to my attorney. The meeting is over. Please leave." They looked at each other before standing up. Jack offered his hand, but I declined. They nodded and walked away. After they left, I called Lisa to tell her what had happened. Then I went to my parents' house to spend time with the kids. Emma was still shocked to see Linda kissing another man after talking with my parents. I took the kids to Chuck E. Cheese and then packed their belongings to take to their grandparents' house. While we were packing, the front door swung open, and Mark stood there furious. "You goddamn fool!" he shouted. "I'm going to hurt you for everything you have done. I only wanted a piece of back, but you turned it into a big federal case." I tried to speak, but he punched me as the stars faded from my vision. I removed the iron skillet from the stove. He fell to the floor, and I dropped the skillet. "Drop the frying pan, sir," a cop said. I let go and turned around, hearing it hit the ground. "Stay where you are! Hands are behind your head!" I obeyed and was handcuffed. The officer helped me get to my feet. "Officer, he broke into my home." I replied, "I know." He claimed your neighbor saw him kicking in the door and called, "Emergency, are you okay?" "My face hurts like hell," I admitted. "You'll get a bruise," he said. He checked on Emma, who was physically fine but agitated. He called the radio and returned to me. "Can I call my parents and have them come get the kids, officer?" I asked if you had a weapon. He asked. "No, this is why I grabbed the frying pan." I said okay, he said, releasing me from my handcuffs. "But I need your statement. Am I going to get arrested?" "I do not think so. You were protecting your kids. Unless told otherwise, the answer is no, but I'll arrest him." I called my parents. My father said he'd be right over. An ambulance arrived and paramedics checked on Emma and me before attending to Mark, who lay unconscious on the floor. They wheeled him out on a gurney as my father arrived. "What happened?" he asked. "We had an unwanted visitor," I explained. He looked at my face. "Damn, this will be a mess for a long time," he declared. He hugged Emma. "It's okay, honey, the bad guy is gone." He looked around. "Where is Timmy?" Timmy was hiding beneath the table. "It's okay, son. You are welcome to come out now." He crawled out and approached us. My father looked at the cop. "Can we leave?" he asked. The cop nodded. Yes, that is fine. I'll need to speak with your son, but you don't have to be here. Thank you. My father said he gathered the children's belongings before turning to me. Come back when they've finished, okay? I will, Daddy. Thank you. I said. I hugged and kissed the kids goodbye, promising to see them soon. The police officer and I sat on the couch while he took my statement. I could not believe it. It all happened so fast. The cop said it was good that your neighbor called in time. I was only a few blocks away. I've been following the more lively story. Was it your wife he was seen with? I nodded in agreement. I'm sorry to hear that. Please call if you need someone to talk to, he said, handing me a card with a counselor's name and phone number. Thank you, officer, I said. He left after shaking my hand, and I stood in the front room, staring at my damaged front door. Fred, my neighbor who had called the police, came over. Are you okay, Jim? He asked. I am now. Thank you for calling the police. Not a problem. I noticed him kicking the door while I was out front with the lawnmower. What have you done to him? He cleaned his clock with a frying pan. I said, he laughed, remind me never to irritate you. Why did he kick open the door? It wasn't locked, right? No, only the security screen. He was too angry to turn the knob. We can close the door, but the jamb is broken. I'll get you a drill and screws to secure it. That would be excellent, Fred. Thanks. Since the jamb was damaged, we were able to close the door and bolt with Fred's assistance. Luckily, the deadbolt was not locked, so I was able to use it. That will do it. Please let me know when you receive your replacement, and I will assist you in installing it. Thank you again, I said. I placed 2 calls, one to Lisa and one to Audrey. Lisa wasn't thrilled with the frying pan incident, but she was relieved it was over and I wasn't in jail. She was amused that Lavalier was in the hospital and about to be arrested. Audrey informed me that she heard the call on the police scanner and had already spoken with the police reporter. I can't keep you anonymous any longer, she said. It will be in the police report. I understand, I replied. We talked some more and she said I should stay tuned. Everyone will be talking about this now, she said. After our call, I went upstairs to shower again. Seeing my black and blue eye in the mirror, I called my boss and explained the situation, requesting a few days off. Crap, you had quite the weekend. Take a week to sort things out, my boss advised. Thanks, I responded. After we hung up, I went to see my parents and children. Linda arrived at the same time. I wasn't expecting her and had no idea what to expect. We met on the walkway leading to the front door and she looked shocked. Oh my God, are you all right? She asked. I said sarcastically, it's too late to worry about my well-being. Want to know what happened? Your lover happened. He came to the house to start a fight. Have you heard him? She asked. Please do not tell me you overheard him. I cannot believe you. He's in the hospital and I'm not concerned about his condition. He is in police custody. Why are you here? I came to see my children. I miss them, she said. You mean from the night you left us for him? I asked roughly. After only 36 hours, you're already thinking about them. Please don't call him that, she said. Linda, he ruined our marriage. And you helped him without regard for me or the children, I said angrily. He devastated our family. That qualifies him as an absolute idiot. So you're defending him? I entered the house and she followed. Everyone looked our way. The children huddled close to their grandmother, who had gone into full protective mode. What do you want? Linda hissed. Linda said, I want to see my children. Timmy appeared terrified, clinging tighter to my mother. Emma looked at my mother with disgust. Why did you kiss that man, Mother? She asked. What man? Linda asked. What about that man? Emma said, pointing to the television lavalier. His face appeared on the screen. This just in, the anchor announced. Sharks tight end Mark Lavalier is facing several charges after allegedly kicking in a woman's door and assaulting her husband. The husband defended his home with a cast-iron skillet. Lavalier is in the hospital with a serious head wound, among other injuries. Charges will be filed as his condition improves. Sharks management has suspended him pending an investigation. Roger and Jack were shown standing in front of a microphone. We regret to inform you that Mark Lavalier is in the hospital with a head wound and other injuries, Jack said. We apologize to the family that he allegedly assaulted. We approached the husband with a reasonable offer, but he declined. How will you respond to the charges? A reporter asked. Jack stated that the charges include terroristic breaking and entering as well as assault and battery, We have no comments, Roger added. Lavalier has been suspended pending an investigation. He is still unconscious, so we haven't heard his side. That's it for today. The anchor returned, stating that this was breaking news. Stay tuned to Eyewitness News for updates. Everyone turns to Linda. Oh my God. She claimed to be unconscious. What have you done to him, Jim? Express concern for your lover. I said I punched him multiple times. Linda approached Emma, but she recoiled. My mother spoke up. Haven't you accomplished enough? She asked. Please leave immediately for the sake of this family. Linda. My father added, and you are not welcome here again. My mother said this with tears in her eyes. Linda looked at everyone and saw no sympathy. She turned and left, sobbing. It was only one night. After she left, I hugged the kids until they settled down. I kissed them goodnight and left. At home, I entered through the garage, since the front door had broken. My phone rang with a call from Elvie, a close family friend and retired lawyer. Hello, Elvie, I said. Hello, you? I saw the report and recognized Linda. How are you and the kids doing? Not great, I said. Did you actually hit Lovelier with a frying pan? He asked. Yes, I said. He laughed. Good for you. Are you divorcing Linda? Yes, I replied, explaining the video. Lovely accent. That complicates matters. Have you spoken with a lawyer? I have an appointment with Lisa Hawkins tomorrow. I said. He said it was the Ice Queen herself. The Ice Queen? Yeah. She is as cold as ice in the courtroom. If you want scorched earth, she's your girl, but she is expensive. Can you afford her? She's taking my case pro bono, I explained. Really? Do you have any idea why? No, I replied. Perhaps you should ask, he suggested. I will, I replied. We talked a little more and he offered to help. Thanks. I ended the call. I ate dinner, gathered the documents Lisa required, and retired to bed. The next morning, halfway to Lisa's office, my phone rang. It was Linda's mother. Jim, you need to go to the hospital, she said frantically. Why? I asked. It's Linda. She attempted to liquidate herself last night. I took sleeping pills and drank alcohol. They pumped her stomach, but she remains in danger. She attempted to end it. I asked coldly. I have an emergency right now. Perhaps I'll stop by after the meeting. Jim, she's still your wife and the mother of your children, she explained, and she is in the hospital. Do you have no feelings for her at all? Why do you think she is there? I asked. Do you think she considered the kids when she left with that guy? Or is it about me? I have an appointment with my attorney. I will stop by afterward. Thank you, Jim. She's a complete wreck. She claimed this had destroyed her. She has only herself to blame. I asked how you could be so cold, she asked. Linda adores you and the children. I feel the love, I replied sarcastically. I'd better go. I will check in later. She gave me the room number, so I hung up. I parked in downtown and walked to Lisa's office. A young brunette receptionist greeted me and directed me to a seat in the waiting area. Soon, a petite blonde woman in a pantsuit emerged and introduced herself. I am Lisa Hawkins, she replied with a smile. It's nice to finally meet you, Jim. Likewise, I replied. I wish the circumstances were better. Me too, she said. Let's get to it. Did you bring the information I requested? Yes, I replied, handing her our financial information and a USB drive containing the videos Lavalier had sent. She reviewed everything and took notes. Here is the plan. She stated that we will file for divorce, citing infidelity. In this state, infidelity can be used to avoid paying alimony. Because you both have similar incomes, the state usually splits everything 50-50ths, but we may receive a little more. We will seek physical custody, but courts typically favor the mother unless she is unfit. She attempted to liquidate herself last night. Lisa's eyes twinkled as I said it. Interesting, she said. We can argue that she is not mentally stable enough to care for her children. Additionally, her lover attacked your family. We need to file a restraining order against her and Lavalier, even though he was in the hospital and facing charges, I inquired. Especially since he's facing charges, she added. He is dangerous. Do you own a weapon? No. That's why I used the frying pan, I explained. She laughed. Remind me never to piss you off in the kitchen. Where are your children now? At my parents' house. We'll include them in the restraining order, she explained, pulling out additional documents. I also filed a lawsuit against Lavalier and the team. Alienation of affections. Lawsuits do not often succeed, but your case is strong. With the videos and the assault, Lavaliere is worth approximately $125 million. We could ask for $12.5 million. We might even find others. He's hurt, and make it a class action lawsuit. What are your thoughts? You are the lawyer. Do what you believe is right. Okay, she replied. It will not be easy, but we can try. The team's response to the allegations will be critical. It's an uphill battle. I understand. I said the divorce itself can be quick, she continued. Infidelity is a misdemeanor in this case, which we can take advantage of. If she does not contest, it may be finalized in 3 to 6 months. Litigation will take longer, but I believe we'll come out ahead. Any questions? Only one. I asked why you were doing this pro bono. You are not the only one. Lavaliere has been hurt, she claims. He seduced my fiancée years before he became a celebrity. Wait, what? I asked. I'm sorry to hear that. Is he bisexual or something? She shakes her head. Not at all. However, it appears that my then fiancé was. I was still confused. She smiled and elaborated. We became engaged after the 2015 Obergefell decision legalized same-sex marriage nationwide. She fell for him just as your wife did. I broke off the engagement and wanted to get back at him, but I never had the opportunity until now. Most of his victims hide in shame after being betrayed. I am sorry to hear that. I said, Are you still friends? We are friends, but not close. We have both moved on. She seems serious. Is my lifestyle bothering you? I shake my head. Not at all, I replied, making her smile. Good. I am glad to hear that. So, are you and Audrey Tanis together? I asked. She laughed. We are just good friends, and no, there is nothing between us, but I would enjoy spending more time with her. Why? Thinking about sleeping with her? She likes you. You know, she rarely takes stories personally. That is the last thing on my mind right now. I said my children were my top priority. That's how it should be. They need their father more than ever. Let me get started on this. I'll have the divorce papers ready in a day or two. If your wife is still in the hospital, we can serve her there. I'd like to attend her funeral if possible. I said, I believe we can arrange that, and she signaled the end of our meeting. I will be in touch. Be careful. Okay. We shook hands, and I left her office to go to the hospital to check on Linda. I parked and went inside. When I entered her room, her mother was speaking with the doctor. Linda was connected to tubes and a ventilator. Looks terrible. Oh, I'm glad you're here, her mother spoke. She is on self-destructive watch, and they're conducting tests. They're concerned about brain damage, since she has been unconscious for so long. She nearly died. What happened? I asked after seeing you and the children. She went upstairs and cried. I held her. I thought she was fine and gave her a nightcap to relax her. In the morning, I discovered an empty vial of sleeping pills in an empty glass. Her face was bluish. I called emergency services and they brought her here. I pumped her stomach and gave her something to counteract the pills. When she is stable, she will consult with a psychologist and may be admitted to the psychiatric ward. How long will she stay here? I asked. Several days. I called her work, and they put her on sick leave. Are you planning to serve her divorce papers here? Yes, how could you? She is already devastated. Heavy stuff, I said, seeing her stunned. Jim Carlyle, how could you be so cold and cruel? I looked at her. I can be as cold and cruel as necessary. She was aware of what she was doing as she left, but she didn't care. Now she must face the consequences. I saw a tear fall down Linda's cheek, shook my head, and exited the room. At home, I focused on repairing the door. I went online and ordered a new door and locks, and Fred agreed to help me install them. When it arrived, the following few days were routine. I completed chores and spent time with my children. My parents assisted with school and daycare runs. It was difficult to explain to the children that their mother would not be present as much. Emma was still scared of adults, particularly men, so I spent more time with her. Damn Linda for causing this. The time had come to serve Linda with divorce papers. Lisa called to inform me of the bailiff's arrival time and advised me to remain quiet until the papers were served. I gave her the room number and proceeded to the hospital. When I met the bailiff at the door, Linda's mother was standing there wiping away tears. Please do not do this to her, she begged. Not like this. I shook my head and entered the room alongside the bailiff. Linda was off the ventilator and lying in bed, tears streaming down her cheeks. The bailiff approached her. Linda. Carlyle? he asked. Yes, she replied quietly. He handed her the manila envelope. You received a summons along with the divorce papers. You'll find a restraining order against both you and Mr. Lavalier. You must both stay at least 500 feet away from your husband, children, his residence, and his parents' residence. This includes your husband's workplace. Failure to comply will lead to arrest and imprisonment. Do you understand? She nodded and turned to face me. Can't we forget about it? She asked. It was only one night. One night is too many, Linda, I said. Emma has still not recovered from what your lover did. This would not have occurred if you hadn't done what you did. Sign the papers, Linda. But I don't want a divorce, she explained. What happens if I decide to fight it? Then I will formally charge you with infidelity. I said. Infidelity? She asked. Yes. In this state, infidelity is classified as a misdemeanor. Nobody has been prosecuted for it yet, but there is always a first time. Sign the paperwork and be done with it. We are asking for half of what is in the bank. I'm asking for guardianship, because you cannot care for yourself. Once the doctor has cleared you, you can see the children if they want to. Right now, they don't. We are asking for minimal child support. What do you get? I get the house. I am being fair. Can I look at them before signing? She asked. Of course, I replied. She read the papers as tears streamed down her face. After a few minutes, she sighed and requested a pen. The process server handed her one, and she signed the papers he signed as a witness before taking them from her. I'll give them to Miss Hawkins, he explained. Have a good day. Linda's eyes welled up with tears as he walked away. Is there no way we can forget this? She pleaded. I did not mean to hurt you. It's just happened. You wanted to hurt me, I explained. You didn't waste any time leaving with him. When you saw him, he grabbed you and you didn't look at me. I won't forget what you did. Ever. She cried harder. I apologize. Jim, will you ever forgive me? I shake my head. No. Perhaps in several years, but not now. I will never forget what you did. I'm really sorry, she cried. Normally I would have consoled her, but I felt nothing. She seemed like a stranger to me. Yeah, I replied quietly. I agree. I turned and walked out of the room, out of her life. The following few months were difficult for us. The kids and I were adjusting to life without Linda and establishing our new routine. Learning everything Linda used to do was a challenge, but with Mom's help, I got through it. The children eventually stopped missing their mother as much. Emma sought counseling, which proved to be extremely beneficial. Linda attempted suicide twice more, but was saved each time by her mother. After the third attempt, she was declared incompetent and admitted to a state-run psychiatric facility. She is now nearly catatonic, spending her days eating, sleeping, and daydreaming in her bedroom. I cut ties with our old group of friends. They exploded when served with papers, but I didn't expect any money from her. I wanted her to understand how her inaction had ruined our lives. I saw Dave a few months later, and he told me they were getting divorced because Dee tried to do what Linda did. Now, I understand what you've gone through, he said. I'm very sorry this happened. Although I did not receive as much as I had hoped, I did receive enough money to cover both of my children's tuition and other expenses. I also received lifetime season tickets. Lovely Air was fired and sentenced to 815 years in prison for his actions. We filed 2 lawsuits against him, and more than 50 men claimed he destroyed their marriages. Lisa organized a class action lawsuit which the judge allowed to proceed. Lisa assured me that love all year would leave me broke. I also sued him for intentional infliction of mental anguish and damages resulting from his attack. We won $1.5 million. Even though Lisa didn't ask, I gave her a percentage for her efforts. I sold my house in July due to bad memories and moved into a nice 3-bedroom apartment with security. I focused on the children and made them my priority. Audrey introduced me to her friend April, and we dated for a few months, but I remained cautious following Linda's betrayal. Linda's doctor asked if I could bring the kids to see her for Christmas. Hopefully it will help her depression. After discussing it with her mother and children, we decided to pay a visit on December 24th. We visited the psychiatric facility. The children were nervous, but eventually approached Linda, who appeared devastated. She brightened up when she saw them and gave me a weak smile. Thank you for bringing them, she said quietly. By that point, the majority of my hatred had transformed into sadness. The doctor and I observed how she interacted with the children. The doctor said, I'm curious, Mr. Carlyle. Could you explain your side of the story? It may help me understand her better. I told him everything, and he listened thoughtfully. You have not considered reconciliation? He asked. No, I replied. Her actions were deliberate. It's time she accepted responsibility and moved on. Why not help her? He suggested. She wants to be loved by her family. She made her decision. I said. She now has to live with it. You appear to be holding a grudge, he noted. Wouldn't you be angry if your wife abandoned you without saying goodbye? I asked. I understand, he admitted. How long will she stay here? When I asked, he replied that it is difficult to say. She needs to demonstrate her ability to function independently without endangering herself or others. She could be here for years. I nodded in agreement as we silently observed Linda interact with the children. I eventually noticed she was becoming tired. She tires easily these days. The doctor approached her and said something. Linda, it is time for your medication. The kids need to go home. She nodded, kissed the kids goodbye, and looked at me with a sad expression. Thank you, Jim, she replied. I'd love to see them more frequently. I am getting better. Really? Yes, Linda, I see it, I replied. You look nice, she said. Do you see anyone? I occasionally date, but nothing serious, I explained. I miss you and still love you, she stated. I miss the woman I married, I replied. Get better, okay? Merry Christmas. She smiled, revealing a glimpse of the older Linda. Merry Christmas, she said. Thank you again. You're welcome, I replied. The children said goodbye and walked towards me. Daddy, can we see her next week? Emma asked. Could we please? Yes. May I, Daddy? Little Timmy was added. I said, we'll work something out. Let us get you home. This started a twice-monthly ritual. Linda's mother usually picked up the kids, but occasionally I did. I occasionally spoke with Linda, but we never talked about the past. There was no hope of reconciliation, and she knew it. However, she appeared to appreciate our brief conversations. A year after that fateful Friday, the first COVID-19 death was reported in the United States on February 29th. Stay-at-home orders arrived in March, complicating matters as Linda's second anniversary of leaving approached. Things improved slightly in June 2020. Last year's team settled a class action lawsuit. Lisa was correct. The Vallières ended up penniless. We didn't get much, but knowing he had lost everything was comforting. Even Linda smiled at that. Hopefully next February will be less bad than the previous ones. Here is the next story. Ryan Walker couldn't help but smile as he wiped sweat off his brow. Earlier that day, he was promoted to shift foreman at Johnson Containers, effective immediately. The icing on the cake was that I'd be working the night shift indefinitely. The majority of people despised the night shift, but Ryan found it ideal. His son Jake was a sophomore in high school and worked nights to participate in several sports and clubs. Ryan will be able to attend his son's activities without missing work. He'd worked the night shift several times before and had devised a system for sleeping during the day that worked well for him. That was why he was crawling across roof trusses in his attic on a hot September day. He had been given Tuesday and Wednesday off with pay after learning of the promotion. It was an opportunity to rest and prepare for his new position, which began on Thursday night. Ryan had long planned to build a small apartment above his detached garage. It would become his fortress of solitude, where he could sleep peacefully during the day, free of the usual interruptions and distractions that occur when a person attempts to sleep. While most people are out and about, Ryan was installing a cable so he could have internet in his apartment. Because the Wi-Fi signal in the house did not reach the apartment, he decided to install an extender at the end of his house attic, near his garage, in the hopes of receiving a strong signal inside his apartment. He uncoiled the wire the entire length of the attic. Ryan heard faint sounds coming from inside his home. It was early afternoon, so his wife Lisa would be working. Jake, Lisa's son, was visiting her parents for a few days, so the house should have been empty. Ryan crawled over the trusses, toward the source of the noise. Ryan was able to pinpoint the source of the sounds as he got closer. This was his bedroom. Ryan's conversation became more focused as he settled on an unused air conditioning vent in his bedroom ceiling. Lisa insisted that the old vent was blowing cold air on her at night, causing her frequent neck pain. He had installed a new vent as far away from Lisa's side of the bed as possible, but had never bothered to remove the old one, which would have required repairing the hole in the ceiling caused by pulling the vent. Ryan simply left it in the ceiling, not connected to any ductwork. He gently lifted the fiberglass insulation that was resting on the attic floor and gradually exposed the vent. He felt his stomach churn when he saw his wife of 18 years moving beneath a thin man with an exceptionally white bum. Just as painful as the vision was. Ryan couldn't take his eyes away. He couldn't stop watching the train wreck that was once his marriage. The couple had been arguing for a few minutes when Ryan's brain finally began to function. He set his phone to record video and carefully placed it on the vent. In this way, the camera had a clear view of his marital bed. "I love how tight you are," cried the man between Lisa's legs. "Does your husband ever tap the prime steak, or does he use a needle wand?" "I have asked you not to mention Ryan," Lisa protested weakly, "or Ryan's opinion. This is not about him. He is a good lover and a wonderful father. I'm certain he is. I'm about to drop a huge load inside you right here in his bed. Yet you insist on being satisfied with how he has sex with you. What is wrong with this picture?" "I'm not sure why I let you talk me into doing this here," Lisa replied. "There is no chance of being caught in your apartment." Lisa groaned. "I'm going to climax." The person covering Lisa tensed up. The couple remained motionless for a minute before Ryan noticed the man roll off his wife. "See how intense it is to take chances as Lisa's lover? Screwing in my apartment works well most of the time, but banging you in your marital bed takes it to a new level." Ryan recognized the man enjoying his wife as he flipped onto his back after climaxing inside her. Tom Grant was a parcel delivery driver for the same company where Lisa worked. He was recently divorced and had a daughter who attended Jake's class. Lisa responded without emotion, saying, "That sounds terrible. You wanted to have sex in my bed because you enjoy the idea of getting one over on Ryan. You act as if it were a competition or something." "It's a competition, at least for men," Grant said with a soft chuckle. "You're a stunning woman and the sex is fantastic. But knowing you're married and having sex with you in your husband's bed gives me the edge. It feels incredible. It wouldn't feel so good if Ryan found us here. I'm not sure why I agreed to this, but it will not happen again. I'm concerned about Ryan discovering us." Lisa admitted, "It would ruin my marriage." "Let's make an agreement," Grant suggested. "So long as you turn off your husband. I won't insist on doing it in his bed if he gets between your legs again. We will have to return so that I can reclaim my position as top dog. I am not going to refuse. Ryan. Here's my husband. I can't simply close my legs and expect him to follow suit. Lisa has a man and wants to have sex on a regular basis. You do what you need to do. But keep in mind that I'll be inside you in this bed as soon as possible." Grant replied, "If he screws you, maybe you'll be as excited as I am." Ryan parked his truck in his detached garage. It remained hidden from view. Lisa had no idea he was at home, let alone that he was listening in on her conversation. His face was drenched in sweat. It dripped steadily from his body onto the insulation that covered the attic floor. He refused to let himself vomit, knowing how difficult it would be to clean up and how bad the entire attic would smell. He forced himself to remain still as he made his way to the ladder, listening to the loving couple dress and leave. Ryan considered what he had just discovered. A slimy creep was screwing his wife. She was going to withhold sex from him as much as possible in order to placate and please her lover. Ryan managed a grim smile as he reflected on Lisa's ability to withhold sex from him because she would never again have his meat inside her. He analyzed his situation while taking a shower and made several quick decisions. He wouldn't tell Lisa he was aware of her infidelity. Jake had 2 years of high school left, so Ryan decided to focus on his son. He would no longer be concerned with Lisa. He no longer cared about her desires or emotions. Why should he care about her when she clearly despised him? He was unwilling to leave the house. He had spent 12 years remodeling so that some sleazy prick could live comfortably while banging his wife. Lisa had not indicated that she would seek a divorce, so Ryan decided to try to hang on until Jake graduated from high school. He knew one thing. He'd need his apartment completed much sooner. Ryan decided to include some major upgrades rather than simply sleeping there while working the night shift. It would be his living space for the next year and a half. He would need both a small kitchen and a full bathroom. Ryan would have had enough time to plan his next steps by the time Jake graduated and left for college. To that end, Ryan called some contractors he knew and scheduled appointments for estimates. He had decided to hire a company to do the work. He'd hire someone to complete the task in a timely and professional manner. There was no longer a need to cut costs by doing everything himself. His promotion would easily cover the costs for the first time in his life. Ryan realized that his time was more valuable than money. If he saved $1, Lisa would get half of it. He was done with his previous way of life. He had always attempted to do as much of the work on his house as he could. He thought it would benefit his family, but that changed when he saw Grant banging Lisa. He was going to ensure that Jake's college education was fully funded. Aside from that, Ryan planned to rebuild his life while also having fun. He no longer felt loyal to his cheating wife. Ryan had regained control of his emotions by the time Lisa walked in from work and saw him sitting in the kitchen. "Are you already home? Did you get off early for any reason?" Ryan looked at Lisa and realized she appeared different to him. She had some lines and wrinkles on her face and was carrying a few extra pounds. Why hadn't he noticed it earlier? Did his love for his wife blind him to her flaws? It saddened him to think about his sudden shift in attitude toward Lisa, but she had chosen to have an affair. He was just reacting. "Yes, we're in a bit of a jam at work. I was asked to work nights for a while, beginning tonight. They allowed me to come home, pack a lunch, and rest. I'll go back in later. They should not expect you to work nights after a day shift. Even if you had some downtime during the day," Lisa reasoned. "You will be exhausted. Lie down and sleep for a few hours," Ryan agreed. "Good idea. I'll just crawl in between the sheets." "Wait," Lisa insisted far too loudly, recalling the bed's condition. "I just remembered I needed to wash my bed linens." "Okay," Ryan responded calmly, grimly chuckling to himself at Lisa's discomfort. "I will simply use the bed in the guest room. There's no need to get too excited." A few hours later, Ryan left the house as if he were going to work. He went to a local sports bar, watched a baseball game, and had a few beers. He had previously set up an air mattress in his future apartment. Once, he was certain Lisa would be sleeping. He parked in the garage and climbed the stairs to his waiting air mattress. He slept remarkably well. Ryan interviewed one of the contractors the next day, who was in between projects and offered a very good price, if Ryan agrees to begin immediately. In 2 weeks, the contractor's crew would relocate to a new development several miles away. Ryan agreed and signed the contract, allowing the work to begin Monday morning. His night shift ran from Thursday night to Monday night. The plant would close Tuesday evening and reopen Thursday night. Lisa knew Ryan wouldn't have to work Tuesday night. She was surprised when he got ready for bed and went to the guest room. The following night. "Why are you planning to sleep in the guest room? We won't see much of each other while you work the night shift, so why aren't you sleeping in our bed?" asked a perplexed Lisa. "I'm not tired because I worked last night and slept briefly this morning while you were at work." Ryan responded with his planned excuse. "I'm going to watch a baseball game and maybe a movie afterwards. I'm trying to get used to staying up late and sleeping in the morning. I don't want to disrupt your sleep, unless you think we should get it on." Ryan wiggled his eyebrows suggestively. Lisa's reaction was exactly what Ryan had expected. If he had not overheard her conversation with her lover, he would have missed her fleeting deer-in-the-headlights expression before she gave a weak smile. "I'm quite tired tonight," Lisa responded. "Maybe we could just cuddle and go to sleep. Besides, Jake is home tonight, and he might hear us cuddling." "Won't cut it for me," Ryan replied. "I want to have my way with you once I have you in my arms and your tits become hard. If you're against sex, I'll simply avoid temptation by sleeping in the guest room. You were never concerned about Jake hearing us before, so it's just an excuse to avoid sex. You don't have to make up stories. I'm not the type of guy who pushes himself on women. I'm aware of this, Ryan. I apologize for how weak it was. I'm just tired and not feeling romantic. I hope you can understand. I understand more than you realize. Please let me know when you are in the mood. If I am in the mood at the same time, we could get together." Ryan replied, "Good night," as he turned and walked toward the guest room, leaving Lisa with a puzzled expression. On Saturday, Ryan spent an hour playing catch with Jake before doing some yard work. When it was time for bed, he walked down the hall to the guest bedroom. Lisa watched his back and wondered why he was acting so strangely. Ryan arrived at work early Sunday night to prepare for his role as shift foreman. By the time the production workers began appearing, he felt very good about his work situation. He had not bothered to inform Lisa that he had been promoted to foreman. She kept secrets from him, so he no longer felt bad about keeping things from her. His shift ran smoothly. He was well received by those who worked for him. He decided he had a fantastic group of people on his shift. The new position required more responsibility, but Ryan had seen all of the problems before and knew how to deal with them. He adjusted to his new job quickly and without much difficulty. When Ryan arrived home on Monday morning, Lisa had already left for work, and the construction crew was setting up. He spoke briefly with the job foreman to ensure they were on the same page before heading inside. He fell asleep right away, but was woken up several times by loud noises from the crew working on his apartment, as well as by the ringing phone. Ryan, cursing himself for forgetting to turn off the ringer on their landline in the guest room, responded with a groggy hello. "I am sorry, Ryan. Have I woken you up?" asked his mother-in-law, Barbara. "Is this why you called?" Ryan snapped back, annoyed. "You wanted to know if I was asleep." Barbara responded, "No need to get an attitude. I just wanted you to know, Bill, that I heard you were on the night shift, and we will not disturb you if you need us to do anything for Jake while you are sleeping. Please let us know." Ryan hung up the phone without responding and unplugged it from the wall. He thought about how stupid people could be. After a few minutes, he fell back asleep. The construction crew finished their work in less than a week. Ryan marveled at the contractor's ability to complete the entire remodeling in 4 days. It would have taken him 4 months. When he awoke Thursday afternoon, he drove to a furniture store and purchased a king-size bed, a small kitchen table, 4 chairs, and a small sofa. He then drove to a major appliance store and chose a large flat-screen television, a refrigerator, an oven, and a microwave. Ryan imagined that by Monday afternoon, his bachelor pad would be ready for him to live in full time. He chuckled at Lisa's confusion when she returned home from work on Thursday to find a crew of men bustling around the detached garage. She approached Ryan while he was chatting with the job foreman, insisting on a private conversation so he could explain what was going on. "I have them finishing an apartment above the garage," Ryan revealed. "I want to be able to sleep during the day without anyone barging in or calling. I'm having it double insulated to keep noise at a minimum. There won't even be a landline because I'll be working nights for quite some time. I felt it would be extremely beneficial to have a place where I could sleep without disturbing you and Jake. You won't even know I'm there." Lisa repeated, "I didn't know you were around. You are my husband and Jake's father. We're supposed to know you're present. I'll be attending Jake's baseball practices and games. I'll be bringing him home afterwards, so he and I will have a lot of time together. Don't worry about it, so we'll be able to have dinner together. I asked you a few days ago to let me know when you were in the mood for some special love, but you haven't accepted my offer yet. Do you want me to scratch your itch tonight? You are being such a jerk. Husbands are expected to do more than screw their wives whenever they want. We anticipate conversations, seductions, the exchange of ideas, and the resolution of problems. Marriage is more than just raw sex, as you are well aware. Don't even think about lecturing me about what makes a good marriage," Ryan warned. "I will put my efforts in this marriage up against yours at any time. This will work fine. All you have to do is tell me when you want me in your bed to service you." Lisa snarled, "I am not some damn cow that needs or wants to be serviced. You will not be providing any services until you make a genuine apology. I'd like to spend an enjoyable evening at a good restaurant, along with the apology." "Wow." Ryan broke into a big smile and simply walked away, leaving Lisa completely confused. It was easy to keep Tom Grant from demanding sex in her marital bed, but Lisa was concerned about Ryan's demeanor. He just wasn't his usual self. He was ignoring Lisa, which concerned her. He'd always been a very attentive husband. She made up her mind. She'd give Ryan a night to remember if he apologized for his crass behavior. She knew he couldn't go much longer without sex. A man can go from getting laid 2 or 3 times per week to nothing and still be happy. Lisa was confident he'd want what she had. He had been this way since they first met. He was much too young to lose interest in sex. Ryan had finished moving into his new apartment by the following Wednesday. Due to Labor Day, the upcoming weekend would include 3 nights off. Jake's junior year would start the following Tuesday. How would you like to attend a Yankees game this weekend? I asked Ryan at dinner on Thursday. They're facing the Red Sox and competing for the pennant. It should be an excellent series. Seriously, that would be incredible. Thanks, Dad, Jake exclaimed. Lisa complained, I don't really like baseball. I'll decline that offer. I will find something to do around the house. I believe you will. Ryan responded quietly, but clearly enough for Lisa to hear. It's settled. Jake and I will go to the Saturday night game. Wow, I can't wait to tell Scott about this, Jake exclaimed. He'll be extremely jealous. He's an avid Red Sox fan. He used to live in Boston. Why not invite him along? Ryan proposed a solution. Baseball is more fun to watch with friends, especially if they are fans. I will call him right now. Thanks, Dad, Jake exclaimed excitedly as he dashed off to get his phone. Lisa remarked, You certainly made Jake's day. Scott is a nice and polite young man. Holy, his real name is Scott. Ryan shook his head. No surprise he has a nickname. What type of parent names a boy? Scott, unless they despise him or something. Jake informed me that Scott's father died of a brain aneurysm 2 years ago, Lisa continued, ignoring her husband's comment about the boy's name. He and his mother came here this summer to be closer to her parents. They are older and in declining health. Ryan declared, I'll just call him Scooter and pretend I never heard his real name, as Jake rushed back into the room. Scooter's mother said he could go, announced almost giddy. Jake, this is going to be fantastic. Ryan parked his truck in the driveway of a nice ranch house in a good neighborhood on Saturday afternoon. Before he could stop, the scooter was speeding out the door. He jumped in beside Jake as soon as the pickup was safely parked. Mr. Walker, Mom has asked to meet you before we leave. I suppose she wants to make sure you're not a serial killer or something. A scooter is being offered. I am sorry about that. No problem, Ryan said as he got out of the truck, walked to the house, and rang the doorbell. A slender, rather unassuming woman about Ryan's age opened the door with what he perceived to be a quick glance. Ryan determined that her legs were her best feature. They were extremely strong and perfectly shaped. Her running shorts gave him the opportunity to admire several of them. Her stomach was flat, and her chest barely moved her top away from her torso. Do you think my legs look good in comparison to the rest of my body? Ryan was displeased when Scooter's mother was asked. Ryan agreed after seeing the woman's grin. You have great legs. Do you think I should allow my son to attend a baseball game with a man who checks out every woman he sees, including the boy's mother? I am trying to raise a gentleman. Ryan saw the woman's eyes light up with laughter and knew instinctively she was teasing him. He chose to play along. What you're really asking is whether you should allow your son to go anywhere with a man who believes that checking out women is the best part of being a man, Ryan replied with a smile. He should learn to appreciate fair sex. I'll show him what to look for and how to accomplish it. I certainly hope you'll be less obvious during your life lessons, Horace countered the still smiling woman. The first thing I'll teach him is to smack anyone who calls him Horace except his mother. Of course, Ryan joked. I see my son becoming violent towards people who address him by his given name, as well as learning to appreciate women's legs. Does that pretty much cover it? Not even close, Ryan responded. I'll teach him the fine art of judging bums and chests under cover. It is critical that he receive a well-rounded education and not focus solely on any one female characteristic. That's a relief, Scooter's mother replied, gaining Ryan's respect. Have fun and make sure to call Scooter if you're going to be late. My name is Gloria, by the way. Honestly, Gloria, what do your friends call you? Asked Ryan. Oh, for my male friends, I respond to Minx, Raven, Candy, or Bubbles. My girlfriends call me Gloria, the straight-faced woman replied. That sounds good to me. I'm Ryan. We are going to be friends, so I will call you Minx. I kind of like that name. Why aren't I surprised? Gloria responded, breaking into a hearty laugh. Horace can accompany you at any time. I enjoy your sense of humor. Jake is a very polite young man, so I was confident his parents would be okay. Thank you for inviting him to the game. We are a baseball family. I used to attend as many Red Sox home games as I could. Even before I was born, my father played in the minor leagues. Gloria added, he was pretty good, but not quite good enough. Scooter is a great kid, so there's no problem. I'll keep an eye on him to ensure he returns home safely. Minx, have a lovely day. Is this going to stick? Gloria protested. I was just making a joke. You will always be a minx for me." Ryan responded quickly, turning and returning to the truck. Ryan spent a relaxing day at the game. Scooter managed to catch a foul ball. Both boys consumed too many hot dogs and drank too much soda. They fell asleep in the back seat of the truck before Ryan could leave the parking lot. Ryan gently woke Scooter up and led him to his front door, where he was greeted by a beaming Gloria. Ryan acknowledged that he may have consumed too many hot dogs and sodas. Of course he did. Gloria replied that he was at a ball game. "Thank you so much for taking him and returning him safely. It was my pleasure." Ryan responded, "Scooter is a great kid, Minx. I will see you at the next game." Ryan settled into a routine that worked for him. He'd get home, eat a light breakfast, and then sleep from 9:00 to 3:00 thanks to the extra soundproofing and blackout curtains on his windows. He usually slept soundly. Lisa occasionally complained about him constantly sleeping in his man cave, even on weekends. She dropped the subject as soon as Ryan asked if she needed his help. Ryan decided she was really worried about Grant insisting on sex in her bedroom and getting caught. That suited Ryan perfectly. It indicated that she was not considering filing for divorce at the time. His goal of staying married until Jake graduated from high school appeared attainable because he was a foreman and got less exercise. Ryan was pleasantly surprised when he purchased a home gym machine that was advertised as providing a full-body workout. It worked as advertised as long as he was consistent in using it. He attended all of Jake's baseball practices, and the coach soon assigned him to work with a few kids off to the side while the coach did drills with another group of players. Jake was a good player who was improving, but Scooter surprised Ryan at the start of the season. He demonstrated some talent, but he was hesitant and timid. Ryan collaborated with him as much as possible. They even spent a few hours on weekends practicing at the nearby park. Ryan decided that since he was not having sex, he might as well relax by playing baseball with the boys. Scooter's confidence grew, and his level of play improved dramatically. By mid-season, Scooter was batting cleanup and playing shortstop at a high level. Jake was the starting center fielder and batted third. Ryan was extremely proud of both boys' accomplishments. Ryan couldn't help but notice the attention that some of the children's mothers had begun to pay him. For some reason, his jokes made them laugh. His efforts with the children were consistently praised. A few mothers would bake something for the team, but they always made sure he got some of whatever it was. Jake's friendship with Scooter, as well as Ryan's time with the boys, naturally led Gloria and Ryan to spend time together. Ryan regarded her as a bright friend with a great sense of humor. He decided to ask Gloria if she noticed the mother's increased interest in him. "I may be way off base here, Minx, but I need to ask you a personal question," Ryan began. Gloria quickly responded, "Almost a B cup." "What? I don't understand," Ryan admitted. "When men preface a question to a woman by saying it's personal, don't they usually ask about her bra size?" Ryan chuckled. "Yeah, that's usually true. In this case, I was going to ask if you had noticed that some of the mothers were treating me differently. The last few weeks? Do you think they've become friendlier lately?" "Aren't you, Mr. Observant?" Gloria responded. "You really have no idea what is going on, do you? I would need more information about what you're referring to." Ryan mused before I could respond to his question. "I understand the infield fly rule. I understand you never make the first or last out of an inning at third base. You're not referring to the baseball axioms, are you?" "No, I was discussing the unwritten rule of never bunting or stealing bases," Gloria joked. "When you have a huge lead," before getting serious. "If you've been paying attention, you've noticed that the most friendly team mothers are also single mothers. You're a great father, a handsome man, and have a decent job. That makes you a damn good catch in their eyes," Gloria reasoned. "What about the fact that I am already married? Wouldn't they take this into account?" asked Ryan. "They've responded, Gloria. That's why they haven't tried to seduce you. No one has tried that yet, have they?" Ryan responded that no one has ever tried to seduce him. "I am married, so I can't be a good match for anyone, Ryan. I don't like that I seem to have to tell you this, but we're friends. So it falls on me. Your wife is cheating on you, and all the mothers know it. That is not bad enough. The rumor is that she stopped you from having sex. You do not sleep together, and it is almost certain that you will become a free agent in the near future." These women want you to join their team as soon as you are released. Ryan was stunned by the glorious revelation. How did so many people know about his personal situation? Who would have known about his sex life or lack thereof? Then it struck him. Lisa must have told Grant they weren't sleeping together, and he's bragging about it to someone. That miserable scum-sucker. "Are you referring to your wife or her lover?" Gloria inquired, attempting to lift the spirits. "I have to say, you don't seem surprised by the rumors. Did you suspect Lisa was cheating?" "No, I never suspected," Ryan replied. "You had absolutely no idea," Gloria, who was not convinced, inquired. "I knew she was cheating." Ryan responded, "I never suspected it. You are losing me here. How did you know without suspecting it?" "It's fairly simple. I never suspected a thing until I discovered Grant banging Lisa in our bed. In a matter of seconds, I went from having no idea she was cheating to knowing for certain. I completely avoided being suspicious. That revelation raises more questions than it answers, according to his perplexed friend. You saw them do the horizontal mambo. Nonetheless, you remain married and are not incarcerated. You're not a swinger, right? Or a guy who enjoys watching? Please do not be one of those creeps. I am not." Ryan assured me not to worry about it. I decided to change my priorities. My first goal was to spend a lot of quality time with Jake rather than being a part-time dad. Living with Lisa rather than divorcing her seemed to be the best way to accomplish this. I started working nights, which has always interfered with our sex life. I built a nice apartment above my detached garage and lived there. I told Lisa it was so I could sleep during the day without being bothered and annoyed by daily tasks. She was unhappy with the sleeping arrangements, but Grant warned her that every time she had sex with me, he would insist on banging her in our marital bed. That worried her, but not enough to make her stop screwing him. She believes her affair is a secret and wishes to keep it that way. I didn't tell her, but I'm not going to have sex with her for any reason. I visited the clinic and was tested for STDs. I am clean. I hope to keep it that way. Are you serious? You had heard about the witch. How could she treat a guy like you so poorly? What a jerk that guy is, Gloria fumed. All the single mothers think you'd be a great catch. I believe you have an inflated opinion of my attractiveness. I was never the matinee idol type. Ryan mentioned that he has a good job, which may make him appear more appealing to some of the more desperate women. Are you kidding? Look at how handsome you are. You have a beautiful smile, it was pointed out. Gloria, you're strong, kind, intelligent, and great with children. If I wasn't so plain and flat-chested, I'd have already thrown my hat in the ring, along with my full backup bra. Ryan chuckled and said, I think I should shut the hell up. Thank you for being a good enough friend to let me know what others are saying and thinking. I hadn't realized everyone knew him. A cook. It's quite embarrassing. I can't keep my wife happy. I'm a world-class chump. You are a good man who strives to be a good father to his son. You are strong enough to get through this so you can have a great relationship with Jake. Horace thinks you're cool, too. Who asked? Ryan, you must be feeling better to be able to tease me about Horace. Gloria smiled as she asked his name. You're an excellent friend. You've prevented my head from becoming stuck too far up my buttocks. I'm just hoping Jake doesn't find out. Gloria revealed that the horse had either left the barn or was getting close. According to Horace, Jake is aware that something is wrong at home. You basically avoid his mother. He's bound to hear something since so many people are aware of it. Gloria added, You know what worries me? Horace adores Heather Grant. How awkward is that for both him and me? She is a nice girl. She has no idea what a miserable prick her father is. I'm just glad Jake isn't the one sniffing around Heather, Ryan said. What a mess that would be. Horace tells me Jake is interested in Holly Ingram, which shouldn't come as a surprise. Gloria smiled as she said, She comes to every game and cheers for every move he makes. Yes, I have noticed her hanging around. She appears to be a nice girl. I knew her father and uncles from school, Ryan recalled. They are a good family. Jake's team competed in the district championship's first round 2 nights later. Ryan realized as game time approached that he was probably more nervous than Jake. It didn't help that the usual 3 single mothers were vying for his attention. Norma Wilson wore a top that exposed a large portion of her ample chest. She kept finding excuses to lean over in front of Ryan and pick up or look for something. Ryan had to admit that her cleavage was spectacular. Brandy Dawn covered her chest with a tight, form-fitting sweater. Her small waist and flat stomach highlighted the allure of her full, firm chest. She constantly questioned Ryan about the team and its players. Jillian Patterson was less subtle. For some reason, she needed to be close enough to Ryan to keep her impressive chest pressed against his arm or side. Gloria gave him a knowing smirk as she handed him a soda and hot dog before returning to her seat on the first base side of the diamond. Ryan noticed that all three ladies had found a reason to leave his general vicinity simultaneously. He thought it was strange until he noticed a familiar voice behind him. "I decided to join my husband this afternoon to watch my son play." Lisa exclaimed, "I didn't realize I'd have to wade through so many admirers to reach him." "What's happening?" The game hadn't started yet, but Jake looked pretty good in batting practice, Ryan responded in an attempt to deflect the question. Lisa snapped, "Nice try." "Why were those women circling you like flies on a turd? Fortunately, you are not allergic to silicone. If you want me to explain the workings of the female mind, you are out of luck." "I have no idea," Ryan admitted. "I'm surprised you're here. My son is participating in an important game. I am here to support him. Obviously, other mothers are present. Apparently, some of them are not only here for their children. Ryan observed that you had been too busy to attend the games. How did you get out of your obligations today?" Lisa looked at her husband when he mentioned her obligations. She wondered if he was implying something as soon as the thought crossed her mind. She dismissed it. If he had any suspicions, he would have become much angrier and more confrontational. One thing she knew about Ryan was that if he found out she was cheating, he would tell her right away. "I made time. This game is important to Jake, which means it is also important to me." Lisa reasoned, "I haven't seen you since you started working the night shift, so I thought it would be nice to spend some time together cheering for Jake." Lisa and Ryan sat in the bleachers, and she noticed that she was being watched by several other mothers, none of whom appeared to be friendly. Lisa pondered that. What could she have done to annoy the other mothers? This was her first time attending a game. She had no other interactions with any of them, so she couldn't see why they would dislike her. Lisa then noticed Gloria sitting to the side. As usual, she failed to stand out in any way, though Lisa noticed her hair had been professionally done, and her legs looked good in a pair of shorts that may have been a little too short, given the cool temperatures of the day. Ryan's attention was drawn to the playing field as soon as the game began. The first two batters struck out before Jake entered the batter's box. Lisa was concerned for her son when she saw how fast the first pitch was and how close to his head it had come. The second pitch was low and away from Jake, but he hit it hard and lined it over first base for a stand-up double. Scooter was the next batter. Lisa noticed that he appeared older, stronger, and more confident than he was last summer. The first pitch went into the catcher's mitt, close to Scooter's head. If he hadn't leaned back, it could have struck him. Lisa overheard Ryan chuckle as Scooter prepared for the next pitch. Attempting to intimidate those two boys is a huge mistake. Ryan addressed those present. "I just hope the pitcher tries to sneak a fastball on a Scooter." The other spectators nodded in agreement as the pitcher began his delivery. He was a hard thrower who added something extra on the next pitch. There was a loud crack as Scooter's bat collided with the baseball as it crossed the plate. As the ball disappeared over the center field fence, the bleachers echoed with oohs and ahs. Jake trotted across the plate, waiting for his friend to reach home plate before exchanging high fives. Gloria was beaming proudly as her son circled the bases. She looked over at Ryan, only to notice small tears on his cheeks. He'd spent countless hours practicing fielding and batting with Jake and her son. His satisfaction and pride were almost palpable. Gloria was extremely grateful for Ryan's mentoring of her son since they arrived. Horace was maturing into a fine young man, and Ryan had played an important role in his personality development. Lisa drove to the pizza shop to join Ryan and Jake in celebrating their victory. She found a parking spot quite far away from the door. When she entered the restaurant, she noticed Norma Wilson and Brandy Dawn standing far too close to her husband. Their large chests made frequent contact with his arms, back, and chest as he helped the boys organize their drinks. Lisa was not surprised that they seemed to vanish as she approached. It prompted her to mentally replay a conversation she had 2 weeks earlier with her lover, Tom Grant. "Isn't it about time we put it on in your bed?" "Push!" Tom watched Lisa get dressed after a sex session. Banging you on your husband's bed really gets my motor going. Lisa reminded herself that you promised not to do it in our bed again until Ryan and I had sex. I am not willing to take the risk. Are you telling me you haven't had sex with your husband since the day we had it at your house? Asked her incredulous lover. You told me to turn him off for as long as I could, and you wouldn't force me to have sex in our home until he made love to me. He worked the night shift that day and has been sleeping in a room above the garage. We haven't even exchanged handshakes since. Tom responded, That's just crazy. He's too young and you're too attractive for him to lose interest in sex. Is he gay? Does he have a girlfriend or something? He's definitely not gay, Lisa insisted. He is very masculine. He would never cheat on me. He's only working nights. He's tired most of the time. He only shows up for dinner except on weekends when he does yard work and other chores. No normal man married to a piece of meat like you would be willing to go without, even if he worked 18-hour days. According to Grant, he must be messing around. This should make it easier for us to get together. He is getting his, and I'm getting what used to be his. Ryan would never be unfaithful to me, Lisa insisted firmly. He takes our marriage vows extremely seriously. He's not the type of man to sneak around and get involved in some petty affair. Is this what you think you're doing? Demanded Tom. No, this is just a temporary situation. Ryan has been too preoccupied with work and Jake's baseball to pay much attention to me. I deserve some fun. Lisa reasoned that she worked hard to keep the house clean and make meals while also working full-time. We know this will not last. Tom smiled as he contemplated Lisa's words. I suppose you're correct. We will simply enjoy the ride while it lasts. Give me a day, and I'll drill you in your bed. It still cracks me up. As Lisa remembered Tom's words, she became concerned as she watched the two bimbos hovering around Ryan slink away. It was clear that he had some very attractive women with large chests and tight bodies who were interested. She realized she needed to defend her marriage against their efforts. Then she noticed Gloria sitting by herself. Lisa quickly devised a plan. She smiled broadly and took a seat next to Gloria, who was surprised. It's nice to see you again, Gloria. Horace has developed into an excellent baseball player as well as a pleasant young man. You should feel proud of him. Gloria, admit it. I'm exhausted. Jake is also doing very well. Ryan's time spent with him is paying off. He's been a great mentor to Horace. Lisa responded, Yeah, Ryan can be too good at times, as she saw an opportunity to propose. I'm sure you've noticed how those big-chested blondes are constantly hanging around him. I was wondering if you could help me. I know Ryan would never leave under normal circumstances, but he's a man, and those women are all but flashing their big chests and spreading their legs when they're near him. How do you expect me to help you? Ask Gloria. If they get too close, spray them with cold water. I'm unable to attend most of the games and practices due to work and other commitments. Lisa began cautiously. I know Ryan can be trusted with you. You're not his type at all. If you could just stay close when I'm not around, I would greatly appreciate it. I'm going to tell Ryan to stay closer to you and be more attentive. Those husband-stealing hussies will think he's settled on you and, hopefully, leave him alone. I know it's embarrassing for you to pretend like that, but there's a good reason. You could save our marriage. Please let me know if I have this correct. Gloria responded with disbelief. You're worried that these attractive, sexy single mothers will seduce Ryan, so you're asking me to stand in for him at ball games and practices. You think I'm a safe, single mother because I don't have big chests and I'm rather drab-looking. I did not say you were drab. Ryan, for whatever reason, is less likely to fall for you than a big-chested ex-cheerleader. You'd be helping him keep his promises. You believe that cheating on your spouse is a deal-breaker. Gloria paused to think. Would it be so bad if he approached a few of those willing women, as long as he kept you as his #1 priority? I hope you're joking, Lisa said. I love my husband, but I will never tolerate cheating. It is indeed the deal breaker you mentioned. It voids the marriage contract. I would never condone infidelity. As far as I am concerned, the marriage is over. You must understand my feelings. You were married for several years. Gloria said, I understand fidelity and loyalty. It makes sense that cheating violates the marriage contract. I have to agree. I need to get over to Ryan. Can I count on you to keep an eye on him when I'm not around? Oh, yes, Gloria replied with a smile. Be sure to explain everything to Ryan. I will keep my end of the bargain. Who is better suited to keep a good man celibate than a flat-chested, homely, boring woman? I wouldn't have phrased it that way, but you've pretty much covered it. Lisa replied, Thanks again, as she left to join her husband. Lisa wanted to talk to me last night before I left for work, and Ryan began the next day's practice. The crux of the issue was that I was surrounded by too many sexy single mothers. She believes I would be much safer if I remained close to you. Minx. She refers to you as Gloria. Why don't I feel safe? You're an intelligent man. You're never going to feel safe around a single woman, no matter how small her chest or how plain she appears, joked Gloria Minx. You're one of the most attractive women I've ever met, Ryan said earnestly. You're the entire package. Wow. Gloria blushed and admitted, You just made my job harder. I'll make an appointment for you to have your eyes checked after the baseball season is over. Ryan stated, You'll find I have a 20/20 vision and am an excellent judge of character, with one glaring exception. I appear to have misjudged my lovely wife. Gloria replied, I think she may have misjudged us. That is, if you actually find me attractive. Ryan was amused by the reaction of the single mothers, while Gloria remained by his side. He spent a long time talking and joking with her. The most common response was disbelief, followed by disappointment. Gloria separated him from the herd after less than one practice. The team's next game was a 3-hour drive to Middletown. The team decided to travel the day before the game and spend the night in a hotel. It was hoped that the boys would be rested and ready for their next challenge. Ryan had provided rides for Jeff Winston's parents as well as Gloria. The discussion en route centered on the team's chances of winning district and possibly state championships. They arrived at the hotel directly behind the team bus. Ryan helped Jeff get his luggage from the trunk. Some of the parents, including the Winstons, had agreed to chaperone the boys and would be staying in the same hotel. All the other parents had to make reservations at various hotels. A large number of fans and players were in town because several games were scheduled for the following day. 3 games would be played between 6 teams from various class schools. Jake had previously climbed on the bus. Ryan had informed him that he would not be staying at the same hotel and that he should behave for his coaches and chaperones. He assured his son that he would attend the team practice the next morning. Which hotel are you staying at, Minx? Ryan inquired as the Winstons wheeled their belongings to the team hotel. This is the same hotel where you are, was her simple response. I never told you what hotel I was staying at. How did you find out what was perplexing Ryan? I did not. It was a brief response. How do you know we're in the same hotel? This weekend is quite busy. Ryan warned that you might not be able to get a room at the last minute. Gloria smiled and said, I'm sure something will come up. Ryan becomes even more confused. Ryan arrived at his hotel a few minutes later and asked Minx, Do you want to see if you can get a room while I check in? I can wait around to make sure you find something. Thank you, but I'll just wait here. I will be fine, she insisted. Ryan was finally starting to see the light as he checked in and received his room access cards. He returned to his truck to find Gloria waiting. Is there any chance you'd like one of these cards in my room? He asked. It's room 207. Such a thoughtful gesture, Gloria exclaimed as she got out of the car, accepted the key, and kissed Ryan on the cheek. Let's get into bed. This is going to be a long night. Ryan awoke the next morning far more tired than he had been before going to bed. He initially struggled with the reality of breaking his marriage vows, but Gloria helped him get through it. Let us look at this logically. Lisa has not only been unfaithful, but she has also agreed to end your sexual relationship. Even if she hadn't, she would still be endangering your health by engaging in unprotected sex with a tomcat. She has effectively rendered sexual relations with her unsafe and undesirable. She has released you from your vows and marriage contract. I haven't had sex for over a year. I've had checkups and am clean. You were tested after discovering she's a cheating skank, and you're clear. I took the pill over a month ago in the hopes of hooking up with you. Can you honestly tell me why we shouldn't sleep together? Is it my looks? Your wife thought I was the perfect foil for all the big-chested, beautiful women who were interested in you. She knew you wouldn't be sexually attracted to me. Am I just not appealing? Minx, you are extremely desirable. Never suggest you aren't. I've never cheated on Lisa, and it's taking some time to adjust my thinking, but you've made a compelling case for our getting together. I'm prepared, Ryan declared with a grin. Gloria replied, There's something else you should know first. Both of my parents are in hospice and are not expected to live much longer. My brother has been sending game films of Horace to a friend. The friend coaches baseball at the best prep school in the Los Angeles area. If Horace receives a baseball scholarship for next year, we will most likely move back. I really like you, but we don't want to be in a long-term relationship. It cannot last. Look at us. You're an attractive married man with a cheating wife. I'm a plain Jane with a son who has the opportunity to receive an athletic scholarship to a prestigious university. I have to do what's best for Horace, she decided. Ryan proudly stated, "That is great to hear about, Scooter. He's a good kid and an excellent baseball player. I am glad he will be able to hone his skills against strong competition while also receiving a good education. You are the main reason he is being considered by better schools. I understand how much time and effort you put in with him. It's ironic that you, as such a good mentor to my son, gave us the opportunity to relocate back to Los Angeles and away from you. I don't think I'd be good at one-night stands. Ryan, you seem worried. It may be preferable to abstain from sex entirely, rather than have one night of sex and then return to monastic life. You silly man. I mentioned that we would probably return to Los Angeles for the upcoming school year. That's more than 6 months away. In 6 months, a guy could have a lot of dates, unless he's too old for a steady supply of hot sex with a desperate woman. That is something we will have to find out. Will you live up to your nickname, Minx? Ryan joked. Gloria promised, I will for you, big boy. When you need me, just whistle, and I'll teach you how to whistle. Ryan quipped, I've always been told that my whistling is quite respectable. Then you're not doing it correctly, Gloria retorted. The baseball team went on to win the state championship, and Scooter received a scholarship to a prestigious California prep school. Gloria's parents died before Thanksgiving, less than a week apart. Ryan and Jake attended the funerals. Ryan met his glorious brother and liked him immediately. Ryan, meet my brother. Dexter introduced Gloria. This is Horace, Dexter's baseball mentor and good friend Ryan. Holy crap, your name is Dexter. Ryan blushed. Right, agreed. Glorious brother. Only Gloria and my family ever refer to me as Dexter. I responded with a grin like everyone else. What are you calling my sister? I call her Minx. But don't ask why, said Ryan. I don't think I need to ask, Grim said with a laugh. Ryan celebrated Thanksgiving with Lisa and Jake at her parents' house for the first time in months. Ryan found himself preparing for bedtime with Lisa. They always stayed over Thanksgiving night, and Ryan couldn't think of a good reason to break the tradition. Lisa took her time taking off her clothes in front of Ryan. He tried to control his reaction, but Johnny eventually responded to the visual stimulation. Lisa was a very attractive woman with a well-toned body. We haven't slept together in a long time, Lisa explained. You must be in need of some love right now. Make love with me. Ryan felt bad about his next comment, even as he responded, You finally admit you need to be properly serviced. I knew you would break. I'd be delighted to top you off and put a big smile on your face for the holidays. You miserable pig. Lisa snarled. You won't get any sex for years if you keep that attitude. What is wrong with you? You can forget I was thinking about allowing you to touch me, okay? Was Ryan's only response as he rolled over. So his back was to Lisa. He didn't second-guess his comment. While it was out of character for him, it served his purpose of avoiding sex with Lisa. Ryan regretted, however, that his marriage had deteriorated to its current state. Lisa was concerned that Ryan's snide comment would make sleeping difficult. As she lay next to him, she wondered if he was aware of her affair or if he was simply unhappy because they hadn't had sex in a while. She decided she needed to discuss it with Tom. He should forget about having sex with Lisa in her marital bed. Suppose she had sex with Ryan. That statement had caused her to avoid and deny her husband, which could eventually raise his suspicions. It could devastate her marriage. Ryan had a routine for working the night shift. He went home, had a small breakfast, and went to bed. By 9 a.m., he was often woken up around 2 p.m. Gloria climbed naked into his bed. They would make love for an hour before she left for home. When Scooter returned from school, baseball was finished for the season. This allowed Ryan to shower and shave when Jake got home from school. Ryan would often take a nap in the evenings before heading to work. Overall, it worked well for Ryan and Gloria. One night in early December, Ryan received a call from Jake shortly after arriving at work. Dad, Scooter, and I are out with Heather and Holly in Heather's car. You told us we could stay out until midnight because there is no school tomorrow. We have a problem. Heather was driving her mother's car. We have a flat tire and there is no spare in the trunk. We're stranded on D Street and I'm worried. I notice a few guys down by the arcade looking this way. You're broken down on goddamn street near the arcade. You are cursed, Ryan. We'll talk about this later. Is Heather driving the Corolla? Yeah, it's a 2017 Corolla, Jake said quickly. I'll find a wheel and tire that fits it and get right there. Keep your doors locked and call the cops if you encounter any problems. Take care of the girls. Ryan dropped his phone into his pocket and walked onto the production floor. He quickly found the person he needed. Gus. You still drive that Corolla, right? I asked Ryan about a bearded man driving a forklift. I need a mounted tire that fits your car right now. Ryan had another thought while speaking to Gus when Jack Reynolds passed by. Jack was Holly's uncle. His younger sister was Holly's mother. Jack, my son, and some friends have broken down on D Street with a flat tire and no spare. Holly is with them. I'm getting a mounted tire from Gus and heading over. I'd appreciate it if you could come along. I have a real spare tire, not a donut, Gus declared. Take my car and get down there right now. Jack, Gus, and Ryan dashed for the parking lot entrance. They were concerned about the children being in that area of town late at night. It was not a place for good kids, particularly teenage girls. Lisa lay in bed, enjoying the warm glow she always felt after romping with Tom. His phone rang, and he looked at the caller ID. Damn, that's Heather. I have to respond or she will be irritated with me for ignoring her. Lisa could only hear one side of the conversation and was concerned about what she overheard. Why the hell are you down there, kids? That's too bad. Those boys are old enough to handle a minor issue like that. Call it. Go away. It is not my fault. Your mother is too dumb to keep a spare tire in her car. What was that about? Lisa inquired after Tom had disconnected the phone call. Tom replied, Nothing to worry about, as he reached over to stroke Lisa's firm chest. Heather has a flat tire, but she is calling for a delay in getting it fixed. Several young toughs were gathered around Heather's car when Ryan and his friends came to a halt directly behind it. Ryan quickly stepped out and removed the jack and tire iron from Gus's trunk. Gus brought the spare tire, and Jack tapped the driver's side window, motioning for Heather to lower it so he could speak with her. You kids, sit tight until we change the tire. If these assholes cause any problems, we will take care of it. Holly, you'll explain to your mother why you're here on D Street. Ryan moved the jack behind the flat rear tire and slid it under the frame. He cranked it until it was securely fastened to the frame, then moved in front of the tire to loosen the lug nuts. The obvious leader of the tough guys approached Jack while Ryan was working on the tire. You're on our turf. You need my permission before messing around with that car. Before Jack could respond, Ryan jerked the tire iron around, cracking him in both shins. The man dropped to his knees and rolled on the ground, rubbing his shins while cursing a blue streak. Ryan grabbed the punk's collar and dragged him face down to lie near the flat tire. Then he sat on the man's back and resumed loosening the nuts. The two nearest gang members rushed over, seemingly determined to get Ryan off their incapacitated leader. Jack smashed the first one in the side of the head, and he fell like a rock. As Gus moved forward, the second guy backpedaled out of reach. I raised the car and we'll pull this tire, Ryan informed Jack in a calm voice. Jack continued to rev the engine as the gang of toughs hurled insults and cursed at the men. The guy under Ryan would occasionally try to squirm out from beneath him, but Ryan would grab the man's greasy hair, pull his head up a few inches, and quickly push it back into the pavement. After only 2 lessons, the man on the ground decided to remain still. Ryan undid the lug nuts and removed the flat. He accepted Gus's good tire and slid it into place. Jack lowered the car after tightening all of the lugs by hand. All 3 men appear to be ignoring the toughs who were taunting them while working. Ryan tightened the lug nuts and stood. He inadvertently kicked the leader in the nuts as he attempted to step over him. You dumbass is speaking to us, Ryan inquired as he walked toward the assembled gang members, casually tossing the tire iron from hand to hand. The group dispersed as soon as he began to approach them. Get the hell out of here, kids. As Ryan backed the gang away from the car, he instructed Jack. Be careful not to run over the idiots lying in the street and stay away from this area of town. The three men piled back into Gus's car and followed Heather to the next intersection, where she turned toward the kids' homes. "I can't believe you smacked that dumb scum sucker in the shins like that," laughed Gus. "He went down like a bag of potatoes." Jack added, "Thank you for inviting me along. My hand hurts, but it felt great to hit that punk on the head." "Then you sat in the hole while changing the tire," cackled Gus. That was enjoyable to watch. As they returned to their jobs, the men continued to laugh and tell stories about their experiences. By morning, the story had spread throughout the entire plant. Tales of daring and adventure were always popular, particularly during the night shift. They made the night go by faster and allowed everyone to forget about how tired or sleepy they were. The next afternoon, as Ryan awoke, Gloria jumped into his bed and kissed him long and hard. She was naked and clearly eager for him. Horace explained what happened last night. "You were excellent." Gloria expressed gratitude for taking such good care of the children. "You're about to get very lucky. I would have come over sooner, but I had to wait for Horace and Jake to go see the girls because they didn't have school today." Lisa had only been at work for an hour when Sue Blaine approached her by the water cooler. It was clear she wanted to talk about something. "I heard Ryan, Jack Reynolds, and Gus Benson scolded a few would-be tough guys who were swarming around the kid's car on D Street. I understand that a tire iron across the shins quickly removes the starch from a punk." Lisa immediately assembled the pieces. Heather called her father for help last night, but he ignored her. Apparently her problem was more serious than Tom had admitted. Sue used the word kids, which most likely meant that Holly, Horace, and her son Jake were involved. Lisa replied, "I'm curious about what you heard. I would like to see if the rumors are true." Lisa was furious with Tom Grant by the time Sue finished telling her what the rumor mill said. Although she kept this from Sue, his daughter had turned to him for help in a potentially disastrous situation, and Tom had simply dismissed her concerns. Ryan, Gus, and Harley's Uncle Jack had responded as men should. They had protected the children and helped them get out of a difficult situation. Tom had dismissed his daughter's plight in favor of having sex with Lisa. The realization that she had been having sex with a man who refused to help his own daughter, as well as some of her friends, including Jake, hurt her deeply. How low had she sunk? Ryan was 10 times the man that Tom was. The sad part was that Lisa had known all along. Why had she ever gotten involved with this selfish puss bag? Lisa discovered Tom alone in the break room, enjoying a snack while his delivery truck was being serviced. She didn't waste any time laying into him. "Heather called you for help last night, and you ignored her. Those kids could have been in serious danger, and you told her to call A. Which kind of father are you?" "Everything worked out," Tom replied glibly. "Your husband and a few of his buddies saved the day." "So what is the problem? Ryan acted like a real man. You turned your back to your daughter. That is the problem. My son was in the car. If your dumbass husband is so special, why am I screwing your brains out when he hasn't gotten laid in months?" Tom replied with a chuckle. "All the superheroes in the world will not create a tool as powerful as mine. You miserable pig." "Being a man has nothing to do with your size," Lisa retorted. "Ryan is more manly than you will ever be. Have you said that yet? You screamed in ecstasy last night as I pumped you." Tom replied, "The way I see it, I have that dog beaten every way that matters." He then took another drink of his soda. "That is it. We're done. Do not try to talk to me again. I do not want anything to do with you." "Whatever," Tom responded calmly. "There are plenty of married women out there looking for a big bull like me. If you change your mind, you can find me. Even if you ask nicely, I will still screw you." Lisa burst into tears and ran out of the room. She had betrayed her husband, disrespected him, and jeopardized her marriage and family for a shallow, egotistical sociopath. She only hoped Ryan wouldn't realize how foolish she had been. With that thought, she realized she had a lot to make up for. Gloria had just ridden Ryan to a powerful climax when she heard sniffling behind her. Gloria turned around surprised and watched Lisa with tears streaming down her cheeks. "How could you do this to me?" Lisa cried. "I trusted you both. And you do this." Gloria replied, "I'm simply doing what you asked," as she reached for her clothes and began slipping them on, after pressing a finger to Ryan's lips and instructing him to remain silent. "You asked me to keep those big-chested blondes from sinking their claws into Ryan. I gave up my body to achieve your goals. I did not want you to sleep with him, and you know it. Lisa responded as anger replaced her tears. I can't believe Ryan would cheat on me like this, especially with someone so skinny. I understand that finding out Ryan and I are bumping uglies is difficult to accept, but there's no reason to be insulting. Gloria, your poor husband was about to explode. I'm simply assisting in relieving some of the stress he was experiencing. Tom Grant did not want you to have sex with your husband, so Ryan had to turn to someone else. Fortunately, I was at the right place and time. You can thank me for helping you completely shut Ryan off while keeping Tom happy. Where is Tom anyway? Is he on your bed? Lisa cried. You know about Tom. Well, yes, Gloria replied. I believe that Tom is well known throughout the free world. You have been sleeping with him for months. He promised to screw you in your marital bed every time you had sex with Ryan, so you stopped having sex with your husband. Thankfully, Tom was able to fill the void. Pun intended, if Ryan knew. Why wasn't he saying anything? Why did he let Tom and I carry on for so long? Lisa inquired, her eyes welling up with tears. You're a bright girl. How would most men react if they discovered their wife was a cheating witch? Asked Gloria. He'd get really angry and yell at me. Lisa added, then he'd probably divorce me, as the reality of the situation became clear. That sounds about right. What will happen next? Will Ryan and Jake be able to stay here while you move in with Tom? Asked Gloria. I would not leave my house. I wouldn't give up Jake either. If Ryan wanted a divorce, he'd have to move out. He would pay alimony and child support. Jake would remain with me, Lisa concluded. This was exactly what Ryan expected. Agreed, Gloria. Assume his primary goal was to stay close to Jake and be the best father he could be. How could he possibly achieve his goal? By not divorcing me. Lisa spoke softly. He stayed there for Jake, not for me. He learned about Tom and me and essentially divorced me, just not legally. We have been living as a divorced couple for months, haven't we? I was simply too dumb to realize it. In your defense, Tom's hard tool helped you miss the fact that your husband was emotionally distant. I'm just the skinny witch who appeared after you screwed everything up. I assisted Ryan in his healing process. I told Tom we were done. I never want to see him again, Lisa declared. That came after he refused to help his daughter out of a difficult situation last night. You didn't have many options, did you? Asked Gloria rhetorically. Even cheaters have certain expectations and limits. Are you and Ryan planning to live together now? Lisa inquired, wiping away the last of her tears. To be honest, we're pleased with our current arrangement. Gloria revealed that Horace and I will return to Los Angeles before the start of school in the fall. I'd rather he didn't know his mother is hitting his best friend's father, if it helps, when the time comes for me to leave. If Ryan agrees, I might help him find a new partner. So unlike those other mothers, I did not try to steal your husband. We're temporarily enjoying each other's company just as you and Tom were. What if I refuse to allow this to continue? He's my husband. You have no right to sleep with him, Lisa insisted. You gave me that right the moment you decided to spread your legs for Tom Grant, replied Gloria. That effectively released Ryan from any obligations he may have had to you. He and I are exclusive. We can trust one another, if you can imagine that. Ryan has been told that he cannot have sex with you or anyone else if he wants to keep me around, Gloria added. Who knows what other bimbos Tom Grant has slept with or what diseases he may carry. You could have a variety of disgusting things growing in that nasty snatch of yours. Lisa burst into tears again as she considered Gloria's statement. Could Tom have been hitting someone else on the side? Of course he can. Lisa no longer had any illusions about the type of man Tom Grant was. She needed to get tested as soon as possible. So what happens now? Lisa inquired with fear. Let's just continue as we have been. I'll stop in and wake Ryan up as often as possible. You continue to work late and avoid him as much as possible. I believe it will work just fine. Gloria responded, If it isn't broken, don't fix it. I'm not going to do that, Lisa stated unequivocally. You're leaving in a few months. I'm going to stick around and show Ryan what a wonderful wife I can be. He won't need your skinny butt unless he knows my skinny butt is faithful to him while you're around, but is out there waiting to be tapped by whomever comes along, Gloria replied. Essentially, I have control over your sex life, or at least your relationship with Ryan. I will not let him near your nasty cesspool while he is in a relationship with me. I'm not willing to risk disease, and he's not too keen on it. Lisa declared with false confidence. One thing I've learned, albeit too late, is that there's a lot more to a relationship than sex. Sex without love or commitment is actually quite demeaning. We'll be doing things that a wife would gladly do for her husband, while you'll be giving him sex. Think about it, okay? Responded Gloria. I have thought about it. Let's do it. You make excellent lasagna and meatloaf for the guy. Keep the toilets clean and wash the skid marks off his boxers. I will ride his meat as much as I can. We'll see who is happier. Ryan, I want you to know how ashamed and sorry I am for disrespecting you. Will you ever forgive me? Lisa pleaded. How can he ever trust you again? Asked Gloria. He might forgive you someday, but how can you ever regain his trust? That has always been the challenge that cheaters face. I recommend that you try to enjoy the next few months while you're still Ryan's wife, at least by name. Understand what you threw away for some strange sex and learn from it. Ryan does not want to split up his family while Jake attends school. That will give you approximately 9 months after I leave to do everything you can to win him back. When Jake graduates, Ryan will most likely throw your buttocks out, Gloria Ryan predicted. Why do you allow her to speak for you? Lisa pressed her case. I am not just his lover. I'm his best friend, Gloria responded. While you whispered sweet nothings into Tom's ear, Ryan and I had our own pillow talk. I promised to handle this particular situation if and when it arose. He promised to screw my brains out once I agreed. Would you mind leaving us alone now? Lisa stood there, crying. Ryan stood up, changed into his pants, and looked at Lisa. It's better if you leave. I've got nothing to do with you. Now that you know I intend to divorce you, I'll give you 2 options. 1, you may initiate divorce proceedings and sever my relationship with my son. 2, you can sit back and screw the entire town for fun while my dear friend and I live our lives exactly like this. Now, before you decide on option 1, I have a video of you having sex with that pig in our bedroom. I'll make sure the video is shared with our son, your parents, friends, and co-workers. Yes, I will divorce you once Jake turns 18 and leaves for school. Till then, you may refer to me as your husband on paper. Is there anything else you'd like to ask or say? Gloria spoke before she even opened her mouth. Remember when you told me that cheating is a deal breaker and that you will not tolerate it if your husband cheats on you? I knew you were sleeping with that asshole. You are a hypocrite, a very bad one. Lisa left the room crying and reflecting on what had happened and how she had sacrificed the best thing in her life for some cheap sex. Lisa and Ryan continued their lives, living in separate parts of the house while Gloria relocated to Los Angeles. Lisa tried everything to get Ryan back. She tried to walk naked through the house and bang on his door at night. Nothing worked, and Ryan didn't even look at her in her frustration. Lisa once walked around the house naked, attempting to perform a lap dance for Ryan. He casually shoved her off of him and walked away. Lisa screamed, "What does she have that I don't? I have a better body and I love you. Why won't you make love with me?" Ryan paused and turned around. She has my trust. She has my love. She has class, and she doesn't open her legs to screw Tom, Dick, or Harry. Ryan filed for divorce after his son left for prep school. To get the divorce process started, he mentioned irreconcilable differences. 3 months later, the divorce was granted. Lisa surprised Ryan by approaching him on the day of the divorce and handing him a letter. Ryan dumped the letter in a trash can. Lisa saw this and collapsed to the ground, crying. "You won't even accept my apology or goodbye." Ryan looked at her, said, "Not worth the effort," and walked away. Ryan took out a loan from his father to buy Lisa's share of the house and paid alimony in one lump sum. His son had not received child support since the age of 18. 3 months later, Tom Grant was kidnapped by 3 men outside a neighborhood bar. After 3 weeks of searching, some of his remains were discovered in a large plastic drum dumped in the woods near the city. Police suspected that a copycat killer had used the same method as Santiago Mesa Lopez, also known as El Paso's Alero. The police suspected that the perpetrator was the husband of a woman Tom was dating, but the investigation was closed because none of the suspects could be linked to the crime. Gloria and Ryan married in a small ceremony a year after their divorce from Lisa. Jake and Horace were pleased because they were now brothers. Jake was initially opposed to his father's divorce from his mother, but after his father showed him the video, he changed his mind. Ryan and Gloria had no other children, but they never complained. When Jake married 7 years later, Ryan and Gloria sat in the groom's parents' seats. However, Lisa did not attend the wedding. Thank you for listening to today's stories. If you enjoyed listening, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, leave a comment below with your thoughts on what happened. Take care.